You can take a fact, regurgitate it in a way where it's not at all false, but completely misleading. This is the Imperial Schools of Honor podcast. I'm Josh Folan.
And I'm Jay Baxtron.
And we are going to be bullshitting about the formative years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. We are reading through yet another relic of antiquated video game literature today, burning through the pages of GamePro issue 9 instead of watching Garfield and X-Men on Fox Kids Saturday morning cartoons like we should be. The link to the issue is in the show notes, as it always is. Please rate and review the podcast. If you post it, we'll read it here. Give us validation and self-worth. Now, what are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now? Was that our most perfunctory opening ever? Was that my most perfunctory opening delivery ever? Even with the mishap, it was very all business.
Very. All right, let's get to this.
Let's get to it. I got shit to talk about in here. Let's go.
Yeah, I am playing Doom Eternal, and only Doom Eternal.
I was going to ask if that was Doom behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, man, Doom Eternal, 100%. So this, I mean, we've talked Doom before, obviously. Like, we've downloaded Doom 2 when it was on sale in the Xbox store for like $2 or something. Like, and that was fun. Played the original Doom back in the day, Doom 2, and even beat Doom Eternal back in 2016, which was tough, super satisfying to beat. Like, such a good game.
No, you mean Doom 2016, not Doom
Eternal.
Yeah.
No. This is Doom Eternal, but in 2016, I beat Doom 2016.
Right, you said Doom Eternal in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, how early are they giving you shit over Microsoft?
Not that early. Yeah, man, so I'm super used to Doom. Like, I really like it. And when Eternal came out, I was kind of like, a new Doom already? Like, I just beat the 2016. Okay, fine, But I started it and got stuck like at the beginning, and I was like, just done. So I just dropped it. I was like, yeah, maybe I'm just done with Doom. But yeah, they just released the next gen update on it, which I wasn't even aware of. I just happened to pick it back up because I was like, man, Doom was really fun. Let me just pick it back up. And apparently I just had to clear the cache like usual, come back, blow through the path, And now I'm having a blast. Like, I'm so much farther in. And the reason I picked it back up is because I heard the multiplayer was just lit. And I love a good multiplayer, but it recommends you play through the campaign first. I'm like, well, I do love the campaign, so I guess I'm just in this for the long haul. And yeah, man, it's all I've been playing. It's one of those games. It always throws me off how it's the only game I play where you have to be moving all the time, and the tips tell you that like don't stand still. Yeah. So I got to be ready for it. So I think I don't know.
That 2016 VR version on PS, man. Holy, I know I've said it so many times on this podcast already, but like it was just like I don't know, man. I'm not sure there's a real world physical activity that made me feel that I know of that I've done in I don't know how long that made me feel as physically drained as I would feel after like 27 minutes of Doom 2016 VR. Like fucking just like an onslaught on your senses. It was fucking unreal. Yeah, I would play it. I would play this new one if they didn't make me sign up for shit on Bethesda.
I actually don't. I signed up for nothing. I just jumped in. So
you probably already have a Bethesda account. It probably is already tuned in. That's
very possible. Although I don't get emails from them, so I'm not sure. But if you haven't, it's totally worth it.
Like I said, I'm gonna have to do it once fucking Elder Scrolls comes out anyway. So maybe, and I do need a new game, so maybe I'll fucking bite the bullet. But
yeah, it was either this or deciding to finally dig into either getting back to my Halo plan to finish all the Halos before Infinite comes out, or getting back in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But again, that game is so big, and I'd been wanting to play Doom. Like, the real reason I stopped playing games like Doom that are scary, that were super fun, is because of the kids, because I can't play them most of the day. I got to wait until, especially with the kids getting older now and staying up later, like it's really late night or weekend, especially when the little ones are up. But now that my daughter is old enough to where, she can see me kill fake demons, like, who cares, I like it a lot more, and it's totally worth it. So if you haven't played Doom Eternal, the graphics look even better now, totally worth it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, literally my spite is the only thing that's stopped me. Like I said, I downloaded it and I was going to play it, and then they made me do that, and I was like, fuck you. Yeah, the idea that I don't think I was aware when I downloaded the first time that it was not optimized for the new generation. So I'm kind of glad that I did wait, because that's, if I'm gonna fucking own this fucking machine, and might as well play the best things for it, as opposed to the best versions of things for it, rather, I should say. So
It's
yeah,
a
maybe.
game that, dude, I'm surprised because with this environment being so, I mean, it's fake, obviously, you're hell on earth and all this kind of things. But whenever I play something like Assassin's Creed or any of the other games, ESO, the backgrounds are more rooted in like a real life, like an Earth type of thing. And so you're just like, or Sea of Thieves, you're like, wow, the water, the graphics are great. This is amazing. And this is different in that, yeah, it's real, but obviously you're in this, not this fictional environment, but it's still so good. Like I get sucked in, and even even though now we have xCloud and I can play on my computer with no additional software, which is amazing, I still want to go sit on my TV with all the hardware that I have there and see it like in the best way that it's meant to be played.
Sure.
Until
Right.
until we start releasing some of these things to come, which I can't talk about, other peripherals, that's the way I want to play it because it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, those kind of like, I mean, yeah, I'm like a lifelong fucking doomer. The story, and I don't really like those kinds of games, but that specific story world, I guess, or it could literally just be Brand Allegiance. Like, I mean, yeah, I was on board for the very first one, on the shittiest of fucking 486, 386 probably PCs. So, like, yeah, I mean, I just been on the ride. I didn't never really play Doom 3. That was the only one that I didn't really spend any substantial time on. And yeah, I mean, fucking, it's got me for sure. So fucking all I gotta do is get past my stubbornness, and I'll probably buy on. Yeah, when is the VR thing coming, Jay?
Dude, I don't know. That would be nuts, man. Based on what you said, I can't even imagine. Even I still pull out my VR for my PS4 since that's the only VR I have right now, and it's so good. Like the thought of anything better VR, like yeah.
Yeah. God, it's like Subnautica and VR. I just can't.
Speaking of, so is that the only game you're still playing right now? Did you find something else? Is it still just?
I tried Dark Alliance because you piqued my interest.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing that they were able to turn a D&D story world into the exact same thing as Outriders. Or like, it's, I don't know, loot crate, kill shit with repetitive button mashing, get meaningless loot crates, rinse, repeat over and over and over and over and over again. It's such a fucking boring way to play a video game. It's such a boring activity. Just like kill things with like just button mashing, get this stupid loot crate with this like semi-meaningless contents that supposedly changes fucking some meaningless thing about the way you mash buttons on the next time. It's just like such a boring cycle. Like there's no effort towards story in that game. There's no fucking, you're not really developing a character in any way, shape, or form. I really hated, how like it was just the 4 static things. Like I thought there would be some more bearing. You said that when you explained it, but like just having to pick those 4 specific people is such a low exposure to the character set that the D&D offers you. It's such a limited. Yeah, and even kind of like the guy I chose, it's close to like the ranger elf character is pretty close. He's like a dark elf. It's kind of like close to what I was picking, which is like the tiefling ranger was the actual character type that I was dicking around with when I was playing the tabletop thing a year or so ago. But it still was very unfulfilling in that regard. And yeah, I played. I got through, I think, what probably constitutes like the first boss thing. I don't know, how much did you play it? Like the big ogre thing that was like up that little hill. Like I killed that thing and then got into the next section. I was like, this is the exact same thing I've already done for like the like no effort whatsoever. Like going back to like the base camp or whatever it was, the place where you go to the next mission. Like there's just no effort there at all to make that an actual alive environment. It's like literally just like kiosks. Fucking just awful effort to use an IP that can do so much more. So yeah,
that had to be tough. That had to be tough for them because I was actually talking. We had poker night, and my buddy who is very much into D&D, like he has a table, like the whole setup, and we were talking about it, and it kind of had me thinking about this because of your comment before about that world being so expansive and so deep, and like the fact that it is much more limited. But in that game, like, how do you not make it just this game where anything goes? You know, like, how do you rein it in? So that had to be tough, because I was a little surprised also with the 4 character thing. I thought there would be much more selection, like there is, you know, character creation in other games.
Like a
But I was like,
Skyrim.
well,
You know.
yeah, I'm like, maybe they
And
just
I
want to
get
get
that
you into the
Skyrim is
story.
like a whole, you know, they were not trying to make Skyrim. I know that. But if you want my attention anyways, you got to come closer than they did for sure.
Man, I wish I had experienced Skyrim the way you guys did. Everybody talks about it like it's so amazing. I'm like, I just missed that boat.
God,
I
dude.
played other games after that. Like, I have it clearly in multiple different versions, but I just don't know if I can go back to it now, you know?
It's, yeah, between the PS3, PS4, and the PS4 VR versions, I mean, I probably played each one 100 hours.
That's crazy to me. So where would that game fall in terms of your, like, all-time greatest games? Like, I've never played one game.
It's the greatest video game ever. There's nothing even close. Like, it's like the amount of good lore and story building and world building, and like that's the thing. Like, it's so out. I mean, we're talking about a game that's a decade old now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like, that's what I mean. Like when I, you know, I make my jokes about like when the fuck is the new Elder Scrolls coming out, because the modern technological capabilities, if they are infused with the same level of effort and care that went into Skyrim, is going to be fucking unreal. Because I mean, we talked about, you know, the VR version of it obviously is the most advanced, probably way to physically experience those story elements and lore and all that shit. And like, you know, I mean, the fucking walking around the fields and seeing the fucking fireflies and shit floating around the flowers, and like I said, being able to use the moons to fucking navigate in the world, you know, it's like that level of care and attention, and again, just a truly built ecosystem. Like, it has like, and it's that's what I mean too. Like, it's the political thing of it is so basic. Like, you just have the two parties essentially that you're choosing between, the imperialists or the what the fuck's the other group called?
Redguard, High Elves, Dunmer.
No,
throwing in all the races.
Yeah, no, yeah, those are races. No, yeah, that's the thing. Like that's its own layer of complexity, in that it's not, has nothing to do with the race of the things, which is, you know, I think probably how a lot more games of that type would steer that. Like, there's like a non there's a partisanal, nonpartisan fucking balance between, like, you know, the imperialists are probably more Nord focused, but you don't have to be a Nord to be an imperialist. You can be an ogre that, for whatever, and they take the time to create that backstory and lay it in there and let you find why that orc, or why that ogre, orc, whatever. I was thinking orcs when I originally started this point. Why that orc would have chosen that path in life. Like, there's a reason, and they fucking, and you will learn the backstory of it if you take the time to explore it. You know what I mean? And find out why that orc has went against probably the more commonplace adversarial to the Nords stance on life, you know. And like, it's just so fucking good. And like, and again, the I don't know how much you played the game and got down the political fucking storyline of that, when you actually get to the war part and you take part in the fucking war. Did you do that?
No, I barely scratched the surface with that game.
Oh my
because
god,
my ESO loved, like, yeah, it's
god, dude. Yeah, you can get, if you like go far enough down the storyline with either group, eventually the thing comes to an actual war head, and you take part in the battles, and like, you like are with you go out, you know, the general tells you we're attacking, and you go over there and fucking there's a war going on, and like, you battle, you can kill your own soul. Like, that's the thing too, it's like total autonomy. You can if you want to go over there and just kill everything, you can, you know, like, or you can take part and help the soldiers that are trying to storm the keep or whatever the fuck it is, you know. And yeah, it's just the level of care and attention to detail and the effort to make it full, alive, and real is just, it's unprecedented and unparalleled in any other video game I've ever played. And like I said, it's a decade old. If you take what this new system can do and then do that same thing from scratch, and that's why, you know, like I want it to fucking come, but I'm also glad that it's been so long because I know they're working on it the whole time, you know. And it's just like we talked about with the fucking television and film IP properties, like, you know, you got to spend the fuck you cannot rush story building, world building. You have to take the time. You have to get it. You know, like I'm cutting my fucking the new hype video for my new Bills hype video for the new season. Right. Normally I do these things in like 3 days, and I normally just sit down and just do them. This year I'm doing the first one. I'm literally, you know, I spent probably a week and some change doing it here. I'm not going to release it till the first preseason game in August, and that means I'm going to spend 2 months or a month and a half just watching it and making the most minute changes to make it better. And just like spending, like, just because I'm not going to release it, just like I'm not, you know, it's not like I'm still necessarily working on it, but I'm going to watch it all the time because that's why I make these things. I like to watch them. So like I'll sit and watch mine because I think they're the best. and every time I watch it, I go, I can tweak that a little bit, or I want that's just a frame or two, not where I wanted to hit with the music and yada yada yada, you know. And like just spending that time of just going over it again, just watching it and pruning it and making little tiny changes for betterment. That's what makes good creative shit. And like that's why, you know, I think that's what they do in taking so long with these. And that's probably why Fallout 4 sucked, because they rushed it. You know, like that's exact, you know, you cannot fucking rush that kind of complexity in storytelling. You just can't. It's not possible, man. The human fucking mind can't do it. So
makes sense, especially with a follow-up type of game where people are used to it. Like, yeah,
right. So yeah, Dark Alliance, definitely not Skyrim. On the upside, I did see Darkest Dungeon was on Game Pass as a result of searching for that game. So I downloaded that. Maybe I'll fire that up again. That's like, I don't know if you remember me talking about it. It's like a very difficult turn-based RPG. That's pretty well done. That's been out for quite some time now. Yeah, but I mostly, that's a super 20-minute way of saying that I am mostly just playing Subnautica still.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I'm getting all the creature eggs. I'm building out the alien containment wing of my base, which they improved the way you can use that technology, the alien containment technology, where they're essentially just fish tanks, but they did this with the base building in general. I've talked about that, how they changed it and expanded it and made it, gave you a little more flexibility with that. And I was surprised to find that the alien containment stuff also was expanded. I expected, even though the base building in general had changed, I did not anticipate a little thing like that to also be able to embrace the different building blocks that you can use for base building now, you know, which was very cool. And so now I'm creating like a fucking compound, an alien containment compound, and going out and getting all the eggs. There's so many more, you know, and it was most fucking logical choice ever from the developers. Like there's no doubt in my mind that people were like, oh my God, this is a fucking cool ass part of the game in the first one, but it was very limited. There was only, you know, I don't know, maybe fucking 8 or 10, something like that, creatures that you go out and find eggs for and then hatch and then, study, whatever, look at, fucking be a weirdo. But in this one, it's fucking way more of them. And even it's a little spoily, but like you can get a pet in the first one. It's like a super cute fish egg that you can find. That you actually don't find them anywhere in the actual wild, just the eggs. Like you can't find the actual full-grown adults. And there's there's a little effort towards story to explain that. But the second one has not the same thing, but something close. And there's actually multiple varieties of them, you know. So, and you can, I don't know. I don't want to say that. That's cool. I think that was very cool for me to discover. So I don't want to say that. But yeah, there's just cool things about that you can do and embrace. And then there's like a downside, like I don't know if it's, well, yeah, they can die. Your pet can die. It can get attacked by the hostile fish because it'll follow you. You can tell it not to follow you and have it stay at your base, or wherever you tell it to stop following you, I guess. Or you can have it just follow you and it'll go wherever you go. Even if you're in your submersible or you're swimming free, whatever, the fish will follow you out and do whatever with you. And you can like interact with them and like give it a cookie and play with it and pet it and shit. It's super cute. And they got some, like, I don't know, like the people who do Minions or something that understand, like, or Pixar that understand like the big eyes and like the little attributes that make things cute. Like they got some consultation on that. They got it. or they are naturally in tune with it. Cause like both of in both games, like the fish is ultra fucking cute and like it's a fish and it's still cute, So like there's like, again, there's some sort of fucking, I don't know what the illustration or animation fucking tactics are that make humans like, oh, that's fucking cute. But they nailed it for both games. But anyways, so it can go out and can get hurt and it can die. And like, I don't even know if the one died on me. Like, maybe they can get lost too, I think is possible. But either way, like, cause you're swimming and like I talked about with the getting attacked. Like you can't see, or you don't see 360 degrees at all times. So you don't see what's happening at all times. So like, you'll just be swimming and then like your fish will buzz around and like fucking swim in front of you and you're like, oh, you interact with it, whatever. You're not paying attention to it at all times, if you and like, you can forget to leave it behind if you're gonna go somewhere hostile. Like I'll leave them behind and like I don't want to take you to somewhere that's where you're likely to get fucked up. But sometimes you forget and like it'll go with you anyways, and like so yeah, like I was fucking swimming and I like just all of a sudden realized, where the fuck's the fish? I'm like looking around and it's gone. And like it's just gone now. It's been gone for like most of the week now.
It just got swallowed and you just
I don't know if it got eaten. I don't know if it got killed. I don't know if it just said fuck you. I don't want to hang out with this dude anymore. Like I have no fucking idea. But it's a fucking bummer, man. It's like a genuine bummer. It's like an actual emotional bummer. And it's again creating that emotional response in a player. Like holy shit, good job. So
that's impressive.
Yep, for sure. So yep, still plenty to do in Subnautica. Okay, let's talk about GamePro 9.
That was the high-low game theme from Vegas Dream on the NES. What are you gonna say?
To April 1990, $395 US, $495 Canadian dollars. The cover price on this baby, and they dialed up that same illustrator that did the cover to the December '89 and February of this year issues. It's got, I think you clearly shaking your head, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the same like unsettling, stressful, bulbous eyes, fucing vibe to it, and it's like
what is happening here?
What is with this illustration stuff? Yeah, it's got a red-haired kid in the middle of like full tweak mode. He's being accosted by 3 anthropomorphic video game controllers, and like the cords are wrapped around him and going into his ears, so on and so forth. So it's a peripheral focused issue, and in kind with that idea, the lead headline is "Jammin' Joysticks." And it's the subtitle is "Get Your Grip on Some Great New Sticks." And then 21 pages of unbeatable reviews is after that, and they highlight Nightmare on Elm Street, Rescue Rangers, Revenge of Shinobi, Monster Lair, and Nemesis. And then the next one is "You Can Play Like the Pros." And the subtitles for this are "Improve your moves with the best tips and tactics." And the kid who wrote the letter bitching about tips last month is probably livid about this one.
Right?
Yeah.
Guess what? Moral of the way.
Yeah, that his plight did not institute change in the world he perceived to be a democratic one around him. So, flipping over to the inside cover, Taito maintains their ruthless stranglehold on the advertising that takes up this part of the mag with Demon Sword and Sky Shark, both of which we've seen numerous times already, and we do not need to discuss further. The ads keep hitting hard here, leading to the table of contents. Those slick full pagers for Kimco's Rescue Missy Mission and Shadowgate. We have Sunsoft's Batman and then Acclaim's Destination Earthstar. And I thought the latter was new.
Me too.
But the artwork looked very new to me. But we fucked with this recently because I remember being like surprised by how interesting the first-person space shooter gameplay was. You know, it had a lot of, I don't know, like going to different parts of a fucking grid and some item accessory shipbuilding type shit going on with it, but probably a little too dated to actually enjoy present day.
Oh, for sure. I tried to mess with it and I was like, wait, no. I was disappointed by this before, but nice artwork bringing me back in. Good job.
yeah, good marketing. The table of contents still has the awful cropping art layout style going on. The joystick and Freddy ones both are just horribly framed. It's unreal that they just keep that up. And we got some HAL action comes at us next. We have full pagers for Vegas Dreams, which we've discussed at length already, but also a new one, the sequel to surprisingly fun action puzzler Adventures of Lolo. And this one is cleverly named Adventures of Lolo 2. And this hit in March. So we are full go on it now. And they whipped, just like digging through the ad, they whipped up some pretty good copy that I wanted to read because I thought this was a good story building blurb here. Our hero Lolo has charmed, enchanted, and confounded puzzle-loving game players around the world with his unfailing courage and plucky persistence. And now he's off for his second quest. Join forces with Lolo and his faithful sidekick Lala for another journey full of puzzles and pitfalls. Praised by players, critics, and educators alike, the Lolo series teaches logical thinking and patience without sacrificing the fun. And again, I just love when these games, like, and sometimes, like, I think this is a little bit of a stretch as opposed to the one like the history. What the fuck is the developer? Doing the Nibunga's Ambition and Romance of Three Kingdoms or whatever. They're absolutely pitching that it's like a history teaching game, and I think that's factual in that case. This might be a little bit of a stretch. I mean, it is real-time logic puzzles, and like that's what I like about it, you know. So, but telling me that educators are praising it, I think you're probably full of shit.
Yeah.
None that you didn't pay to say that.
Like if you gave it to a teacher and they liked it, does that mean she's praising it? Does that mean teachers are praising it? Like, let's get some more facts here.
That is great, Mark. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like that is marketing at its like most high level thing, where you can you can take a fact, regurgitate it in a way where it's not at all false, but completely misleading. Like that's
100%.
Yeah, that is fucking advertising.
It's funny the way that I look at now. Every time I see ads, like I always think about that. Like, is this what?
How full of shit are that? Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
That's what I do with life in general, Jay. So it's not just marketing, but yeah, for sure. So I fired this up, and just as with the first one, I was immediately impressed, dude. I assume you played this. You picked one of the songs too later on, so I'm guessing you fucked with this.
Yeah, man. It's funny. I had no idea what I was doing because I don't remember the first one, right?
You didn't watch the tutorial? They get that tutorial they start with in the game is fucking amazing. It's so good. If you just let the demo play, they give you a 30-second tutorial. I posted the video on fucking the show, dude. Like I've never seen that in an NES game.
I missed that.
Yeah,
I don't know how I missed that.
It was so good and like succinct and like just explained every thing you needed to know to just drop in and play the game with no manual necessary. It was so fucking good. I was so impressed by it. I was so fucking impressed by the tutorial.
For me, it's funny because obviously I did not see that tutorial. Went forward, I had no idea what I was doing, and my kids were giving me instructions. I was like, and it turns out Zion was like, "Oh, I tried this once, blah blah blah." Like she somehow like came across. It's like, okay, that makes sense because I'm like, what is going on? But I got stuck on the second stage. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was actually fun, and I was impressed.
I think I did too. Was that? Let me. Oh no, level 3 was where I
got a level 2, and I was like, "What am I doing wrong here?" But it was enough fun that I wanted to come back and deal with it again. So I will come back to that.
Yeah,
but it's good. Level 2. How can I be stuck right now? What is this?
Yeah, I was feeling the same way about level 3. Yeah, dude. I mean. It's just, I don't know, it's weird to me that these games are like this one and the first one are so fucking good, and like I don't know, there's like on the surface seemingly nothing there. So you fire the game up, the HAL company card, and then you get a cute as fuck and succinct opening cinematic thing where like setting up the story where I think it's telling me that you need to reacquire possession of your female. And I'm guessing that's Lala, the pink thing that's like has the hand like coming down on top of it. And then there's like it's a 45-second demo, on-screen tutorial instructions for the game that like completely alleviate all confusion one might have about the rules of the game. And not having a manual. I cannot stress how fucking incredible. Like there's not another NES game that even comes close to doing that so well. So great fucking job there. And the puzzler aspect is of this game. It's done like it's like you gotta like there's a lot of like you gotta push a block kind of thing to open up a space. But if you push that block there later, you won't be able to get back through the place where you pushed it. Like that kind of logic stuff where you have to be able to see kind of like chess. Exactly, like chess, like see a few moves ahead kind of thing. And it's real time. So there's enemy sprites that some of them are more fucking robust than others. Sometimes, they actually have an effect on you. Sometimes they don't. But, and then there's like, I think that was stage 3. There was one. So like, there was this one enemy that was, you could see it moving fast as fuck, but it's in a very confined space. But there's a thing in the room you need to get to. So you got to push the block and let it out. But you got to realize that it's going to hug the walls and see where it's going to hug. And then know that it's going to get to this place that you can basically trap it in with another block push after it gets there and take it out of the space. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to do the rest of the shit you need to do. And like little shit like that. It's just so fucking well done. The art is so cute and all looks fucking great. They're like small, not complex sprite work, but still cute and good, so really well fucking done rather. And it's not like I don't know, like, I guess it is kind of kiddie aesthetically, I should say it is kiddie aesthetically. It has this almost childlike vibe to the artwork, but it is not like, it's not like, they're not kiddie puzzles at all. It is like difficult, thought-provoking stuff. So in that way, maybe the educators do praise it. I don't know, but it was cool.
But regardless, it's fun. And the fact that we're talking about a game that I've never played before that came out decades ago, and it's fun. Like it makes me so happy when that happens. Like when we come across some of these games that are older, and it's like, oh, I never tried this, and you're like, no, it's just I can't mess with it. It's too old. It's not there for something like this, which seems simple that I almost skipped over, and I was like, what? Have I tried this? Let me try it, and it turns out to be so much fun. Yeah, that's a win to me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's fucking. Absolutely a great part of doing this stuff. Did you find the suicide feature?
Did I find? I don't think so.
Yeah. So you can get to like a no-win state. You can put yourself in a no-win state.
Oh wait, yeah. I definitely did, because I was I can't do anything else.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So yeah, if you hit select, it's still adorable too. It's funny too. So it's suicide, which is like this mature, complex psychological thing, our choice to make in life, whatever. And but it's like this super cute little fucking character. And even the death animation is like this super cute thing where he's like, and like jumps up in the air and flies out. But yeah, so basically you hit select to kill yourself when you decide that you can't win. And then it just, you have a life counter, and it's pretty liberal with the number that you have. So the idea is that this is part of the game that you do kill yourself, and you're gonna back yourself into corners, and you just try again. And it just restarts the same level you're on with all the elements reset, the things that you can push and everything is back to the beginning. So yeah, just fucking so fucking cool, man. Like I want to do a game app on it's almost like I think there's a third one too, I want to say, so maybe wait for that and then do them all at once or something. Like I don't know what we talk about exactly, because we can't. I guess it's kind of like Dig Dug 2, where we just talk about the format and the strategies as opposed to kind of the actual game. Our individual game experience is irrelevant. It's just talking about kind of the broader strokes of how the game presents itself to you. So I guess, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It depends on how many levels there are. Because if it's like Dig Dug and there's like, I don't know, Dig Dug had like 75. If there's like 50 levels and I'm stuck on 2 or 3, I don't know, man. I have to look up the strategy guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fun. It's fun enough where I would definitely be interested in it.
And it's the kind of thing too. Yeah, be a perfect example. Like, unless you're just misremembering the level number and we're talking about the same level, which is possible, I suppose.
Which is very possible.
Yeah. Was it the one where you started right by in the bottom left corner and there were the bushes by the treasure chest?
Yeah.
Is that the one where you got stuck and the thing comes out of the corner? Okay, so yeah, that was 3, dude. Yeah.
Okay,
I got stuck. Yeah, so
yeah.
I got stuck on that one. That's the one I got stuck on as well. So yeah, I'm like, I have no idea, dude. Like I have no idea. I played that level like a good 10 times and I was like, I don't know.
Look it up either. I'm not looking up right now.
Oh yeah, no way. Yeah, no, yeah. It would, yeah. Especially level 3. Like, no, there's. Right? I mean, the solution's got to be here. Like, what the hell? But yeah, I couldn't. There was no way to push those blocks. The only thing I can think of is getting something into that. If you could trap that thing in the river, that's actually the solution. I just figured it out when I'm playing the game. Because you got, and this is a perfect example. You got to watch the tutorial to know this. I didn't know this. You can when you can. Oh wait, I don't know if you get any things to shoot in that level. I don't know if you have any bullets. But if you have bullets and you shoot something, it turns into like a rock essentially, and you can either shoot it again to get it off the screen if you want to make it go away entirely, or you can now, and you only have a certain amount of time to do this before it turns back into the enemy, but you can push it around like it's just an object after you've essentially frozen it and turned it into this ball. But once you do that, you can push them into the water and they will float with the current and turn into a moving bridge essentially that you can walk across. So yeah, so like if you could get that fast moving thing in a place where you could turn it into a bridge, then you could walk across and get to that. If you didn't push any blocks up into the way, you could walk across and get to that treasure chest. But I don't think you get any bullets in that fucking stage.
Pardon me while I grab my NES controller.
yeah. For example, the fact we're talking about this much shows that it's a fucking great game.
Right?
But yeah. So yeah.
It's an ad and we've been spending like 10 minutes on it. So
right,
clearly
solid. Yeah. Hal paid us a handsome advertising fee to fucking do some organic product placement talk in this episode of the pod for Adventures of Lolo 2. So from there, we get a full pager for a peripheral manufacturer, QuickShot. And there's a bunch of controllers I've never seen before. There's 3 like flight sim style joysticks, the kind of like fucking in a goddamn F-14 or something with the fucking button, the little missile button on top, and the little.
That was how we pictured like being any kind of fighter pilot or anything.
right.
Had that stick with shooters at the top.
Yeah, exactly. And they thought, it's so funny to me too that because that's such a small subsection of video games. The fact that they sold, like, the idea that you would buy a controller just for that kind of game, like, I don't know, man. Like, I had Top Gun as a kid. I had no interest in owning one of these. Like, it's like I don't need it's not great.
I looked at this ad and I was just surprised. Like, what did people buy these things? Like,
what would
you use all of these for?
Yeah, I've never. There was so much. Because the third-party gaming thing was such a, there's still companies that did it. That Color Dreams one that we're going to see later towards the end of the mag. There's companies that still fucking did it, but Tengen, obviously, they're very high-profile fucking situation. But because third-party games were a tough thing to exploit for a wildly popular system like this, peripherals, I think, got really fucking leaned on heavy. And there were just so many bullshit companies making bullshit Nintendo controllers, So. Not surprising to me, but yeah, there was just so much shit out there, and this certainly looks like just a pile of it. But there's also a gamepad, there's an arcade joystick that's in the Advantage vein, I would say, and then a pretty, like, this is the one that I wanted to talk about, was the one in the top right, like a motorcycle handlebar
control.
Yeah, like so it's shaped like a motorcycle handlebar kind of deal that, like, I just can't begin to fucking fathom.
How do you even do that?
Like, slightest but usable. And it's it's like it makes me think of Power Glove. Is honestly what it makes me think of, because it has there's definitely no like there's no haptic aspect to that for sure. No so it's essentially you just are holding these handlebar things, and there's a gamepad within thumb reach on the left handlebar, and then buttons. I don't know if there's buttons for the right one. I can't remember. I don't have it up right now in front of me, but I think maybe
there's a big one.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's one thumb button, and then there's probably like a finger trigger button on the back side of it, for A and B, and then maybe somewhere that you can start and select as well. But yeah, the idea is the thought here, looking at it, to me, granted I haven't used it, but the thought to me is probably that you're going to use your thumb and just hit up down the same way you would, I guess, use just your thumb on a controller. And maybe that's possible, but I don't know, man. Fuck off. Like the idea there is obviously there is that this is geared towards making your experience of playing some sort of excite bike or motorbike racing game better or more realistic. And no, you're just changing the way you have to hold. Yeah. And the idea that you're going to pay for that is crazy as fuck, you know.
And even going back to our calling bullshit in marketing theory, it says 20 million joysticks sold worldwide.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here, man. I don't know.
How are those?
I've never seen any
sales. Exactly. If these are real sales, like, is this you sold them? You manufactured them and sold them to retailers, and they haven't actually sold yet. Like, is that what we're talking about here?
Is Toys R Us shipping these back to you in 2 months?
I sold 20 million, and then next month Toys R Us is calling you like, yeah, these are not selling. We're gonna have to get this back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like how many NESs were in the marketplace at this time? We've looked at those graphics. I mean, you know, it's a lot, and like it's going to be, you know, probably hundreds of millions by this time, but still, like, even if you say there's, I don't know, 400 million fucking NESs, arbitrary number, guess, where it's at worldwide sales wise. The idea that, I mean, what is that, 4% or something? Like, get the fuck out of here. 5% of NES owners own one of your fucking controllers. Get a grip. Ain't no way, no fucking way.
Not a chance, man.
So after that, we have Letter from the Game Pros, and this is accompanied by the masthead, as it usually is. And they kick it off by explaining they discontinued reader tips and are absorbing reader submissions for these into the SWAT pages. So you now get your name published alongside the pros. And I like that change. I think a kid would definitely think that is cool. Cooler, I should say. Yeah. So that's a pretty fun change. And we have a full pager for ImageSoft's Solstice Quest for the staff of demos. And that bridges us to the mail. And the tagline for this is, "From out of the darkness shall arise a challenge to your wisdom." And that's pretty good, I think. But it's not out till June. So, you know, I was kind of like, ooh, I want to check this out, but it was fucking whatever, sticking to the rules. I didn't really dive into it. But it looks like another arcade puzzler that employs like isometric 3D view. That reminds me a lot. And I don't know if this is a game I think of so much because it was so intense for the time. The Immortal. Did you ever play that game?
I don't know. I don't think familiar, but I'd have.
I think that was one of the games that like Genesis, because it was an EA game, and they actually did have a port on the NES eventually. But I don't think it. I think it was too, because the whole thing was, it was like this kind of Dungeons and Dragons-y wizard. You controlled a wizard, but he had a sword, and like you would get into these one-on-one battles with enemies. Like once you encountered them, you would go into kind of like a little battle, like a sword play sequence, and you could like the kills were like ultra graphic, and like you would like carve things in half and cut their fucking heads off, and this really intense 16-bit art style and mature themes and stuff. So it was like, you know, it was one of those, it's kind of like Mortal Kombat, kind of in that like it was something like the Genesis was like for big boys and SNES was for kids. And they didn't fucking have, I don't think this hit on NES. And if it did, I'm sure it was, or SNES rather. And if it did, I'm sure it was way watered down. But anyways, that game is, the whole thing happens in this isometric kind of fucking thing. And that's exactly what this looks like. And so whenever I see a game like that of this theming, that's what my mind goes to. And even though like Immortal honestly is not a good game, but it's so, there was so much hype around it at the time that like, it's still, I just cannot get fondness out of my mind when I think about it, even though every time I've ever turned it on, I'm like, this game is fucking funny. Controls like shit. I don't know what I'm doing. Looks kind of muddy. That doesn't really look that good. But yeah, anyway. Yeah,
better than that, man.
It looks better than that. But that kid the one dude, you posted the thing on the fucking socials, that dude gave you shit for it.
But it was fun though, because like, yeah, obviously, first of all, the ad got me. You know, the ad was cool. I like the colors. I'm like, all right, what's going on here? Let me check this out. And it was just so unique with the whole 3D isometric, like you said, and you have to like aim where you're jumping. And I don't know how to describe it. It was just like you're going from room to room. You're trying to figure out where to go. And how to solve these little puzzles to get things.
I was gonna say, so how big was the puzzler element of it? Good,
I think it's
or
good,
prominent,
yeah.
I should say. Yeah,
I think it's prominent because at first I'm walking around like, how do I get to where? And I started realizing like, oh, like this is how you do some things. And Zeke was watching me play, and he was like, oh, how do you do this? And I was like, I don't want to look at the controls and pull out a manual yet because I'm not that invested. But this is fun enough that I would.
I'm intrigued.
At this point.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like my kind of jam for sure. That sounds like something I'll be into. So I look forward to encountering it in depth. The mail is expanded into 2 pages this month. The mailroom must be getting busier at old GamePro HQ, so they're publishing a few more of them. The first one that jumped out to me was Jason Piatak, writing from Brook Park, Ohio, and that is basically where my uncle lives. It's like West Park is technically where he's at, but they border each other, and both essentially mean right at Hopkins Airport in Cleveland is pretty much they mean the same thing. But Jason is saying that he and his kid enjoy reading the mag together, which is sweet but boring. I just like that. Just like that he was in Brook Park. The other one that I liked was the last letter from Jeff Dowis in Cornelia, Georgia. And Jeff is pissing and moaning that there were no high scores in the last issue. There's no high scores section, right? So the editor retorts that readers have said in survey feedback that they don't care for the scores. And in turn, the mag is considering reducing the frequency or of appearance of them or just nixing it altogether. And the reason there sucks is because they don't list the player's location, which means we can't do obscure Ohio geography lessons from it. Wish we could have seen this at the time and let them know. So I just thought that was funny that we have talked shit about their high scores section before, and that they're saying that like survey feedback says it's something that needs to go. Any other letters in here for you?
There's so much Lynx hype here. You know, it was crazy to me, but it makes sense because at the time I was feeling the same way. You see this like obviously I had my Atari. Yeah, I had my Atari. I was partial to that, even though I clearly wanted a Nintendo. I was playing Nintendo, and so to see the Game Boy, which was obviously we love that, it was amazing. But to have this color screen, supposedly better thing, I was like, I want this Lynx. So I get it. It seemed like a solid competitor at the time.
Yeah. Well, I think everything I've heard, fucking Jeremy Parrish, Retronauts, has done some. He's got some Atari Lynx shit. Some of those fucking like the really in-depth video series that he does, where he really dives into fucking the gaming timeline stuff. He's done some on Lynx that have talked about it that I've watched. And I mean, I think technologically it was very impressive. And again, it's the same thing with Atari. That's always its biggest problem is like the software support. Is just not, the third-party support is just not where it needs to be to sustain something like that, like their release titles. We talked about that one when they had the release feature, and like I think there was the only one that even like was something that we even kind of heard of was Rampage, and it wasn't actually Rampage. I think was the case. Like, it was like a different Rampage, So yeah, it just didn't have the software support, I don't think, to really sustain and compete with the Game Boy. The idea of a color screen, I've talked about that before. Like, dude, I wanted the Game Gear so fucking bad, dude. That, oh my god, I was like, I couldn't I don't know, like your kid mind warps the perception of the reality and the actual world around you. But the gap between what the Game Boy in my hand did for me entertainment wise and like how impressive it was versus like my perception of what the Game Gear looked like in magazine ads and the limited probably TV commercials and shit. I don't think I even knew a kid that had one really. Like it's just like they're not. I'm not even playing in the same sandbox with these two things. Like that's like just so much fucking better. Like Sonic, that fast ass game. Like it was shit. Try to move fast, and the Game Boy would literally have those like acid trails behind it. Like it just could not depopulate the screen with a pixel fast enough to have things move quickly. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just very appealing for sure. But yeah, they are.
What? Sorry, not to cut you off, but what about Jay Reynolds? We cannot leave this section without talking about poor Jay. Like,
what did Jay say? This one didn't jump out to me.
So Jay Reynolds was talking about the TurboGrafx 16 because he just purchased his. He's like, I'm so pleased. Your coverage in your magazine helped me decide to buy one. And so he's talking about. He says, I get the picture that the TurboGrafx 16 gets many of its present games from the 8-bit PC engine.
Oh yeah,
this thing was 16. Does that mean it's only using half its powers? And they basically are just like, sorry, dude,
yeah.
it's not really.
Yeah, I was
that
actually
sucks.
That did that did jump out to me. I was like, ooh, that's kind of
like here's this new machine, and then you buy it, you're like, hey, what about give me some more details. They're like
nah, that's shitty.
Ooh, dude.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yep. Yeah, that was very, very blunt explanation by them. Just like
I feel like that's the whole man. Like, so there was another letter where somebody was talking about wanting to get their own games. Who was that? James Duffy from Parker, Colorado.
They're just like, yeah.
They're like,
especially with the worker, because that's how fucking movie industry, man. It's like, everyone trying to grab that first rung on the ladder, like, has their little script and that they want someone to read, and it's just like, it's such a hard part about this stuff is just like, how do I get it in front of? It's like, you just can't. I don't know what to tell you. Like yes, eventually, hopefully you do, but when you make that, like, when that happens, it's like this like incredibly complex series of events that have to line up just right. There's just no, you're not going to write a letter to a magazine and then take that step. It's just not going to happen. Like, it's just not how.
By the way, Jay, you should talk to this person over here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I think they even give a number and say, like, call them, because, like, you call them, they're gonna be like, hang up. Like, fucking, like, not even entertaining that. So I was surprised that they even said that, because, like, the blunt. I mean, they can't just say, can't do that. You fuck off. You're fucked. So I guess it's like, that is the kind of thing. They'll usually just like, I don't know, submit query, like, if you're a screenwriter and you want to get a manager or whatever, like, they're like, just submit query letters to managers, and, like, managers won't read unsolicited scripts either. They're the same thing, because the managers produce things as well. So, like, no one really is, but you never know. Like, you send the fucking letter, you send 300 of them, and the one lands in a fucking inbox for a guy who just happened to lose a client and has a bug up his ass a really free day, and he reads it, and then he's like, this is kind of interesting, and he talks to you, and then you fucking, now you got a manager, and, like, even though you did the thing that, like, every other screen manager be like, that'll never work. So it's fucking, I don't know, it's just such a weird thing. Any creative industry is so fucking weird.
Oh, for sure. I mean, anyone that is highly attractive like this, like, who doesn't want to be an actor or a producer,
make video games. Right, exactly. Yep.
I mean, I'd imagine the process is much easier now for Xbox and Nintendo. Like, I know we have a program where if you're an indie dev at Xbox, like, you can get in the pipeline and work with them. And I can imagine how tough it was back then. Like, you would think earlier it would be easier because there'd be less people doing it,
right.
But yeah, I feel like
the system is more opaque, man. When you can't Google the answer to something, it's way harder to figure out.
Exactly.
Which, all the more credit to this mail writer that they, like, they tried to Google it with the only possible option seemingly available to them at the time. So kudos to you for trying to Google analog style. So after that, we get some tired and or irrelevant Vic Tokai and Asmic full pagers, leading up to the cutting edge, where we get 2 pages of TurboGrafx and Genesis joystick madness. And this is what they were teasing on the cover, essentially. I'm surprised it's only 2 pages, given that it was like the lead cover thing, But they dedicate some real estate on the first page to explain the mechanical and electrical functionality of a joystick, and it's pretty in depth. It was like new, like, I learned from this, and I was surprised and impressed by that. They explained that the jump in input processing from the NES to both the TurboGrafx 16 and the Genesis is almost double. So we were just talking shit about the technological complexity of the TurboGrafx 16, but so it is better than NES, though, at least in this regard. So it's like the actual numbers of it. So there's 18 input pulses per second on the NES that it can receive, right? And in the case of both the Genesis and the TurboGrafx 16, it jumps to 30. So essentially double, of like the number of inputs that it could theoretically, clearly what human being is capable of generating that, but I guess like the turbo button, maybe, but that's pretty cool, and just demonstrates like the jump, part of the jump between the systems, or the bit eras. And the TurboGrafx sticks don't mean much to me, because I never fucked with one of those really, but they do get into the Genesis Power Stick towards the end, a Sega proprietary 3-button controller that Jab had that one, and it was paltry compared to the 6-button jam I had, of course, but it was a solid joystick for sure. And I love this little line that they put in here for it. if looks could kill, this baby be mass murder.
It does look like a sexy arcade stick. I will give it. Like if I had my Sega Genesis, I'd be like, yeah, I want to get my arcade feel on. I need that.
Yeah,
sure.
It's definitely got it's got a nice fucking I like that the hand rest part of it is very aerodynamic looking, you know,
Right?
where your hand where your hand, yeah, sleek is a good word for sure. Yeah, and yeah, the 6-button one has that same kind of vibe to it. Just has 6 buttons instead of 3, which is better. The the Wiz is the copywriter for this article, and I was impressed by how racy that one was about the mass murder thing. Different time. You'd never write that in a thing today. So after some subscribe to GamePro action, we get a full pager from Taxan for Barai Fighter on the NES, which hit in March. And the art is a sci-fi soldier battling a badass, like very traditional looking dragon. And the tagline reads, "Defeat the Barai using massive weaponry." And I'm guessing they were aiming for a little better syntax than that. Massive weaponry isn't really the ideal adjective there, I don't think, which is odd to me because the long form pitch blurb below is very well written and like there's no translation bullshit in there or anything, you know. So I was surprised that the tagline was like kind of like, what exactly? Massive weaponry. Like that's not like, yes, a
Big
massive
guns.
weapon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like a massive weapon is appealing thing to attack something with, but like just being big is not descriptive enough of a word, you know. Like you should have some sort of something there.
There's dragons. I need more than just a big gun. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah.
Tell me you got an intergalactic like laser or something.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So Barai, so I was like, what the fuck is a Barai exactly? It's translated from Japanese. It means hoodlum, scoundrel, ruffian, or villain. And I like all those words. So
Interesting.
Yeah, that I enjoyed the title in that way. So I fired this up, and the difficulty selection screen after the title menu offers 3 levels: Eagle, Albatross, Ace, and that is a hot ass difficulty level option set. I fucking loved that menu. The game, though, I don't know, it boils down to a flying shmup. I don't think it's a bad one by any length. You got like it's a pretty unique directional firing system that allows you to fire all 8 directions, you know, but you can't. It's kind of like that Akari Warriors problem where you can't change the direction you're firing mid. Well, you have to move the direction. This is the Akari Warriors relation, and that you have to move in the direction you want to shoot in before you can shoot in it. So there's that level of thing. But you also, and this is kind of like, you know, maybe them trying to fix that, you know, and like make it less dependent on your movement. But you like once you start, say you're flying diagonal between up and right, and you start firing at something in that direction, and so you can start it, like if you move down while doing that but keep holding the fire button, it will keep firing in that diagonal direction. And if you want to start shoot at something that's down and right, you have to stop firing, still be moving in that direction, and then start firing again. So essentially you can move after you start firing at something, whatever direction that is. So it's like trying to. I think that was like a positive effort. It wasn't like a, you know, just a shitty. Just like it wasn't just like an unknown decision. I think it was a conscious choice to try to eliminate that problem of where you can't move away from the thing you're killing, essentially. You know, which is why Akari Warriors gets shit. So that was a cool and interesting effort to fix that, but it's super weird and hard to get used to for sure, you know. So I don't know if it actually fixes the problem. It just presents a different one. Or fixes that problem, but poses a different one. So
yeah, it's nothing special, but it's kind of fun. You know, the controls definitely got on my nerves. I was like, it was fun enough that I was like, this is all right. But yeah, I don't think I could play through the whole thing with that control situation. It's just annoying. It's not smooth.
Yep. I mean, yeah, the fact, you know, those kinds of games, I'm usually the second I turn them on, I'm like, how quickly can I get to a place where I can say I hate this and turn it off, right? That's what I'm trying to do when I turn on a flying shmup, especially a space shmup. So the fact that I played it and I was like, kind of like, I don't think I finished the first stage, but I didn't just turn it right off. So that's pretty good testament that it's not total dog shit. That does mean it doesn't suffer from Fester syndrome, though. That control set explanation in that like one continuous button depression on a standard controller just fires essentially turbo continuously over and over. You don't have to jam, you know, which is good.
That's always nice.
Yep. Unless you're playing Fester's Quest and they want you to have that difficulty. So the Pro Classics is the next section, and it's a doozy. It's got or rather it's featuring Capcom's Mega Man on the NES and like the first installment. So does this excite you, Jay?
Yes and no. Like the original Mega Man. I don't remember the details, but I'm pretty sure Mega Man 2 was like the one. Everybody, it was so popular. That defined the genre, introduced everybody to it. And so, like everybody else,
Mega Man did not do particularly well. It was not particularly well received.
Not
at its release. Retroactively, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So like everybody else, I played Mega Man 2, loved that, went on, and then eventually went back, after playing 2 and maybe 3 to 1. And it's harder.
That's a tough jump, yeah.
Yeah, it's harder and not as fun as 2. So it's like it's good to go back and like experience it, but it's not something I'm like, oh yeah, let's dive into Mega Man 1.
It's way more basic bitch in that it doesn't have the accessories and stuff, so it's and it just doesn't have as many bosses, so you in turn don't have as many guns. It's just way more kind of not watered down, but there's just less Mega Man in it,
There's more
literally,
like man.
There's literally, if Mega Man is a quantifiable thing, it has less of it. You know what I mean? So, comparatively, I mean, it's still Mega Man for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I think like around when we ended up choosing to do the Mega Man 2 game app, like I think I was then or close to that time trying to get through the first one because I still have never beat the first one. I don't think the Wily sequence in that game is fucking hard, man, like really fucking hard. So yeah, I don't like, I would like to beat it, and I remember enjoying it's hard as fuck, but it's not like bullshit hard. It's just like this is hard, like you're gonna have to fucking try real hard to beat this. So there's like that like kind of I want to conquer this kind of thing with it, that part of my little video game pilgrimage that I want this podcast to be. I think that's definitely the kind of thing that I want to do, and that's one of the games that for sure is on my little Mount Olympus. So it's something I do want to eventually get to. So I'd absolutely play it for a game app. There's a page of Hot at the Arcade hits after that, and the games featured are Midnight Resistance from Data East and Night Striker from Taito. And the first is a side-scrolling platform shooter. The second is a futuristic battle racer. I have never seen either in my life. Have you?
I don't think so. Midnight Resistance seems like the type of game that would totally be up my alley. I've played so many arcade games in my life. I wouldn't be surprised that I have played this before. It just doesn't look familiar, but it's the type of game that if I'm at an arcade and I got quarters, I'm probably going to play that one.
It's the polar opposite for me. Like I played so little arcade games in my life comparatively. Like I mean, especially after like barcading as an adult now. Like I played the amount of times over that my like cumulative time played on arcade machines as an adult is compared to how much I got on them as a pre 18-year-old child is I don't know fucking 50-fold. Like I had very little to no exposure as arcade games as a kid.
Dude, you missed out when it was in the. Believe
me, Jay. I know. I was aware that I was missing out.
Aladdin's Castle was not your place to be. Oh,
I would have. No, it was, but no one was taking me there. So
I wasn't
fucking getting there.
Well, in addition to just the normal malls, like growing up, because of the way I grew up, which is a whole nother long story, we would travel every year for like well over a week. And so we would go to these locations. There was always an arcade nearby. So I'm always like, as a kid, can we go to the arcade? And I've saved money. So I hit the arcades all the time. So this would definitely be up my jam.
I would love to. Like, I feel like, getting to the mall would not happen often because you just go to the mall to spend money and we didn't have money. So I feel like I would get more opportunity to play video games at like, kind of like local carnival type deal, like fairs and stuff, like little shitty towns like Bucyrus or like little shitty towns in Ohio that would do like the Rain County Fair probably, and they would have like a little bullshit arcade set up. And that honestly would be where, or bars, or plenty of bars too. Bars and that, is where, and bars would usually only have like one or two, maybe three. So it was always like a, just like very limited, sparse and random exposure to them and opportunities to play them as a kid. But yeah, they had an Aladdin's Castle at the nearest mall to me, but getting to the mall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these games, mean nothing to me whatsoever. And we then have the acclaimed Double Dragon 2 full pager. And the last thing in the section is the Adventures of GamePro, that the comic. And so like we had the teaser last issue of Todd's heading back to Earth now, like big story turn, and it was totally a false narrative point in that like it was only basically he comes to the TV and finds that the kids like can't see him. He's almost like, I don't know, like they didn't really explain that, like why it was that way. Like basically though, he had to head back to the video dimension, and the evil Darklings are closing in until most definitely to be continued kind of deal, So it's very much just like a false dead or a dead end kind of thing that you thought was an actual step in the story. So
yeah, it was a good issue though. I will say that. Like I thought the last couple issues, I'm like, okay, this is a fun little thing. But like this issue, I feel like we got some more information, some more actual action from the GamePro decision-wise. So
sure, you got because they basically he comes in and then they cut to like a full page. Actually, like I ended up not using it in the key art for the episode, but like it was like a cool enough page of art that I screenshotted it and was thinking about using it for the art. So like it's like this thing of like a big story, a big progression in the Darklings, like what their plan is for sure.
Yeah.
So
which is
nice. almost like cut to the B story kind of thing. Like, what are they doing over at Skeletor's castle right now? That is the Adventures of Lolo 2 on the NES ending theme, bringing us into the pro views, blasting off Act 2 of the mag here. And they start with the NES, of course. The first is a two-banger on Nightmare on Elm Street, an NES satellite-enabled simultaneous, can't even fucking say what this game is. It's an NES satellite-enabled simultaneous four-player side-scrolling action platformer that is heavily and truthfully aligned with the third film in the series, released in 1987 and subtitled Dream Warriors.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big breaking TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Easily my favorite flick in the series. Also probably the one I watched the most in my life. Did you remember, do you know that Lawrence Fishburne is in that movie today?
I don't remember that. I definitely saw it. It was definitely super scary, but I did not.
Super scary. Yeah. He's one of the main hospital orderlies that like deal with the kids. I fucking love him. He's one of my favorite actors ever. He's so good. What is your favorite? Is 3 is your favorite in the series?
I don't remember them all, man. I feel like 3 was definitely a 1 because I remember that Dream Warriors, like that just being a terrifying thought, like just whoa. But then also, I want to say, because I haven't thought about this in a while, maybe 5 was like an intense one, but now I'm gonna have to look up. I don't remember. Yeah. I just remember like a couple later, 5 being like, oh my gosh, this is a tough one too, like a freaky one.
Yeah, the whole thing, like because that was the whole thing. The kids each had like their own little, like when they were asleep, this thing that they became, and like that. I love how they implement in this game too. It sucks that the game sucks, but the the adherence and the usage of the IP was well and truthfully adhered to, or done, I should say. But the game is absolutely.
I hate it.
Yeah, exactly. I will say that I have never tried it with the 4-player aspect, and anytime you couch co-op 2 people together, 4 people is probably bad times 2, So, that might change the fun factor of this significantly. I hope it does, I guess I should maybe say. But I've never tried that, and a 1-player version is dog shit for sure.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's absolutely terrible. The MSRP is $42 flat on this, which is kind of surprising given it's licensed by with such a this is just recently released, and it's such a prominent at the time licensed property. I'm surprised that they didn't try to really rake you on that. That's followed up by a 1-page preview on NTVIC's Bizarro Pinball Ditty Rock and Ball, which we've talked about, and a full-page ad from Capcom for ISOH Game Up alum Bionic Commando. And those obstruct our view of another Capcom title's pro view, Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. It's not out till June. Calm down, Jay. It's not out till June.
Dude, this episode is the first time I went to the magazine looking up release dates because there's so many hot games in this, or good games, or interesting games.
Yeah.
I had to start looking it up. So yeah, I realized that too. I was
Yeah,
like,
so many of them are hitting in June. That they're teasing here. It's funny. Yeah. But it's good because I did this issue. I have plenty to talk about by the end of this issue, so I was not saddened by not having more things to sift through in our game app choice. But anyways, so this has got a projected MSRP of $49.95. My memories of it, we've said before, though, are pretty fond. Like these Disney Capcom titles are all pretty good. So looking forward to getting into that. And then we have Activision coming at us with a one-pager on Archon, The Light and the Dark. And this is a battle chess clone where you have one-on-one real-time combat with two pieces when they try to occupy the same square on the board, right? So this was released back in December, but it's the first time we've seen it. And I say battle chess clone, but like doing the research for this, that Data East title didn't hit until some unknown 1990 date. So after this one's release, basically. And then Battle Chess was also just a regular chess game that had fight animations that you had no control over. So there was no actual controlled combat in it, so
it was just chess with actual cool animation. That's all it was.
Right. And I liked that. Like that was still cool to me. I remember that was a game I want to say we rented and I did play and did enjoy as much as you can enjoy a digital chess game. But yeah, like
this is not that. This is different.
Exactly. It's exactly. Yeah, like I fired it up and like the rules are nothing like chess. Like the movements and thing. Like as soon as I started it, and you're playing against the computer, obviously, the computer does something with the one piece like over here, and it just like it transports on top of what would be my rook, And I was just like, okay, that's clearly I need a manual read or something. I'm not gonna have any idea how to engage this, But yeah, and then it. Like, the graphics and sound are pretty poor, which is not surprising given how the original release. So the original release of this was on the 8-bit Atari line of computers in 1983. So this is, I don't care how much they've updated it for the port, whatever. There's going to be underlying gameplay stuff here that's subpar, and the graphics and sound would say are leave a little to be desired. But the battle arena thing, like it was absolutely real time, and I got my ass kicked when that thing transported, and I did the battle. But I think I had fun even getting waxed doing it. Like it was like actually engaging the way the battle happened, So, I don't know. Like this was, I have never heard of this. It kind of fucking completely blew me away. Like I said, I thought I was getting the exact same thing as Battle Chess, and Activision was just giving us some bullshit here. But it's actually a pretty interesting fucking game.
It really is, man. I liked it much more than I thought I would. I did a full game. It ended after 60 turns. And
so did you look up the rules before you?
No. So I
jumped out as you went.
Yeah, I just watched. I read the article here, and I was like, oh, okay, let me check it out. I was kind of like, I don't really want to, but I did it. Dude, it was so much more fun. Like I would play it again and look up like all the exact moves. Like, what does this piece do? How does this piece move? And of course, I got my butt kicked like the first 4 times I came across any other piece. But then I got used to it, and it was like, okay, so this is how you defeat them. Okay, this one's stronger. This one only has a sword. I need something with a gun to shoot far. Like I got sucked in. I was expecting to spend like 10 minutes on it. I played for a while. I probably looked up an hour later, and I was like, oh, all right, it's a solid game.
The one battle that I got, so it was definitely like a sorcerer thing that was taking a melee battle or melee style fighting piece of some kind, and like I would whack it and then like try to run away, and it would just like it was faster than me first of all, and it would do this thing. It was just like a spritz of shit.
Yes.
It would just vape the shit out of me. And I was just like, oh yeah. So I mean, that like clearly that's like that is. It just did a good job, I guess, of really what chess is what you're supposed to be visualizing when you're playing chess. Like the idea that the queens and bishops and stuff, like they have some sort, like their ability to move all the way across the board is an implementation of the idea that they have some advanced battle tactic capability. You know what I mean? So like it was just a really cool way to express what the underlying idea with chess as a game is, or manifest maybe is a better way to put it, what that is, and that was pretty cool, Despite, like I said, all the antiquated components of it.
Yeah. Surprisingly fun. Yeah. I was thinking of adding this for sure to our games worth playing list, especially with a manual, so that you know how the pieces work. For sure, I could totally pick this up when I'm bored.
Word. Yeah, we haven't can't think of anything we've added to that in quite some time.
I was impressed because of this issue because I had a couple.
I didn't even think of that. I've kind of forgotten about that list to some degree, but yeah, there's ones later that maybe I should add. The Rock and Ball ad bridges us to a two-banger squared from American Sammy, the arcade ports of Twin Cobra and Silkworm. And Twin Cobra is a chopper-only shooter we saw last issue. Might as well give us a get to the chopper, Jay, just since we're here.
Get to the chopper!
Yeah. Silkworm, I'm having a hard time saying that word. Silkworm is also a shooter, but you can choose between a Cobra chopper or an attack jeep. So flying or land-based, which is a very interesting combo for a single game, I think. And it's also not out yet. Hits in June, so nothing to talk about at the moment. But just that varied type of gameplay is pretty interesting.
It feels, I played it though because I didn't look this one up, but it feels very early gen NES to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I also think American Sammy's just a dog shit developer is also part of the problem.
I don't know, man. Twin Cobra is not bad. You know, I think it's a fun game. But then again, I like flying shooters. So
exactly. Yeah. So we are on to a brief toe dip into the Master System next with hockey title Slapshot. And I fucking hate hockey, but I fucking love hockey games. It's crazy to me. Like, I am conundrum, dude. It's so weird to me. Like, I cannot think of something that is a more boring activity for me than sitting down and watching hockey live. You know, be it on TV or in person. I just can't think of anything I'd rather do less. But every hockey game I play, I am just like, holy fuck, this is fun. I fire this up, and I mean, first of all, I love the title theme. Yeah, there's something that is so 80s video game about it. It makes my heart both hurt and overflow with joy. Like, the game it's fucking great, dude. So it controls and feels a lot like black box hockey on the NES, you know, the first one. And it's also got like a double dribble-esque cutscene thing for goal scoring. And then when you get into the fighting system is very Blades of Steel style in that you cut to a close-up where the fight occurs, like the referee's watching and there's another player watching, and you're like, it's only like your players from the waist up in the foreground fighting, you know, and there's a little meter above you. And I didn't exactly get how that worked in the one fight that I got into. And I posted a video of that hot shit on our socials, so you can take a look at that on our Facebook page. And they actually compare it to Blades in the magazine. That's comparison in the magazine, you know. So they agree with those. But to me, like I said, it's a hybrid of the two in that the gameplay, like the sprites are like they're a little bit smaller. So that's kind of more ice hockey-ish, whereas Blades of Steel, they're taller, and there's like it's a more methodical pacing, I guess, maybe, and that's also what feels ice hockey to me, whereas Blades of Steel is very frantically energetic as far as the pacing of the player movement and stuff goes. So yeah, I mean, I was immediately having a blast playing this. You know, it was a fucking really fucking good game. No MSRP, sadly, for the one SMS game. I'm curious what a new SMS game might have been costing at this time, considering the Genesis was also out. I was kind of bummed that they didn't have that there, you know. But yeah, man, did you fire this up or no?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. For the same reasons. Like, it's weird. But I'm a little different because I hate watching hockey on TV. Like, don't even suggest it. Hockey in person, freaking fantastic. Like, watching live hockey is somehow so much more fun. But again, the video games are always hit or miss for me. Blades of Steel, great. Other games I've randomly played over years, I just don't give me another hockey game. So I looked at this and I was like, nope, just not doing it. Not doing it.
It's a bummer, man. Like it has a 2-player function, and we should fucking play. It's fun for sure. Like,
man,
Blades of Steel and ice hockey are both a blast to play, and I bet this is too, as far as 2-player stuff goes.
Ice hockey is fun to play.
Yeah. So moving right along from 8 bits to 16 of them, we start our Genesis Pro views with some high-octane ninja options, a 2-banger on Revenge of Shinobi. Woo. Still looks hot, Jay. Just saying. This game looks fucking hot. I
played it for the first time.
Did you?
I played it because of this. I mean, it's throughout this magazine. I think later in the tips and stuff that it's there, so I had to try it. It's definitely.
Well, this is Phantasy Star 2 are like the hot shit Genesis has going right now. So it's like their big.
It makes sense.
Titles, yeah.
It's very arcade, like it has the typical big arcade sprites that you enjoy, looking at the Genesis, that sound, like graphics. Yeah, it's fun. I feel like I suck at it, obviously, because I don't like that, but it makes me nervous the thought of playing it for an episode. But I mean, it's Shinobi, so it definitely was a Genesis mainstay.
For sure. They closed the article out with a Jimi Hendrix quote, or sorry, I should say a play on a Jimi Hendrix quote. It's, "Hey Joe, what you doing with that sword in your hand?" Which is Hey Joe is a fantastic Jimi Hendrix song. But yeah, a weird choice to me.
Right.
They must have been literally just the guys fucking smoking a doobie at the office and fucking listening to Jimi Hendrix. That's the only place that comes from. You know what I mean? Like, there's no other explanation for that. There's none.
That's great.
Yeah, the MSRP is $64.99, so you better come correct if you want to see it at the 16-bit big boy table. You know, that's not cheap.
That's big enough to get. That fact alone is what made it hard to ask for a 16-bit system.
Yeah, for sure. The games were.
Yeah, it's like, well, the games are $20 more. Nope.
No deal. Yeah, but you want that's the thing. You got to explain it to mom and dad. Like, listen, if we want to see the big boy table.
You want me to be technologically advanced? You want me to be on cutting edge, right? I gotta keep up.
The shit doesn't get handed out for free. You know, like. People that make this stuff spend time. They got to eat.
You want me to have a great life, right? This is me experiencing life to the fullest.
They follow that up with a oneer on Zoom, which, as previously discussed, is my shit.
Hotness. Definitely an entry also into our Games Worth Playing list.
Yeah. Did I already? I had already had it on there. Was that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, Jesus Christ.
Come on, boy.
It's remarkable. Like, it never gets old. Like that clip, that sound. Like, I fired up and played. I mean, of course, like the second I stopped what I was doing, the second I turned the page, it wasn't even like I read the article and like, okay, I'm gonna play some Zoom now. I turned the page, saw Zoom, and I was like, fuck this for a second, and played some Zoom. and yeah, like, fucking broke out my trusty Genesis arcade stick and played a little bit. And yeah, this, like, you know, every time it happens so often playing the game, that "come on boy" thing, like, fucking they do it. It's such a repetitively used voice sample, but it's never gets old. It's crazy. You know, it should be so grating by like the second level, but it never gets old. It's so good. And it's just such a fantastic puzzle game. It's so fucking good. And the MSRP is only $42.99. Very palatable.
Sign me up.
Yep. After that, we have a 3-page whopper of a Genesis ad campaign that we've been seeing in all these issues, and it's still featuring Phantasy Star 2 in identical fashion as the last issue. So there's nothing really to say there. The last Genesis Pro View is a one banger for your shit, Truxton, and I really like it. Yeah, I really like what they did here, actually, with the, like, they don't normally do this with the Pro Views, right? Like, the layout style and theming is that of a top secret mission brief folder, you know, which, yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen that yet. Like, any sort of theming at all, not just obviously that specific one. And yeah, you know, part of why I dig that is because file folders are only one small step away from mainframes and disks.
Exactly.
They're only like just one little nano click back. So I like them. Brought to my attention here because the mission brief is actually addressed to him. The lead character you control in this game is named Tom the Bomb, Barogo's most fearless fighter pilot, that's fun.
I like it.
Yep. And I mean, you keep trying to steer us into playing this. How might you strategize those efforts this time, fearless podcaster?
Oh man, I need that they detail some of the different weapons here and give me pro tips, because obviously I've been loving this game, playing it off to the side, but I didn't have any tips. I still haven't looked at a manual. It's just fun to pick up and play. So I would definitely pay attention to these tips, man. I don't know. There's so many different, like, even when playing this, the type of pickups that you get change so often, and like some of the power-ups I still don't know how to use, but they blow shit up crazy. Like, it's so satisfying.
You don't even know you're doing it yet because they're not invented yet, but you're talking about fucking loot crates.
No. It's just a weapon, not loot crates. I'm just talking about upgrading your weapon. Like how
I know
whatever
it's a fucking loot crate. It's a loot crate before they made loot crates.
You're not getting loot. You're just It's like Contra. You're starting with your little machine gun, and eventually you're getting the spray weapon.
That's fucking 1990 version of loot crates.
Loot crates any day, then. Give me that. That makes a fun gameplay experience. I mean, there's so many amazing aliens. I mean, look at this crazy alien skull bomb you can drop. Like, how could you not get excited about that? Like this, yeah. I mean, Tom the Bomb needs to go on this mission, man. He's your super fighter.
Yeah,
The world.
it's not bad. It's not a bad space ship. The MSRP is $42.99. That must be the shit that's been out for a while now. Standard price on Genesis is my guessing. That $43 thing. After that, we have a full pager from Sawfell featuring 2 games I never made the connection on being from the same developer, Casino Kid and Wall Street Kid, and then yes, and the kid part should have been enough, but also the fact that the vibe for both games is basically like toxic 80s bravado masculinity, like greed is good kind of thing.
Greed is good. That is
that's exactly what they're
Gecko.
Yeah, their company fucking, I don't know, mission statement or something must be greed is good.
All right.
So, yeah, we talked about both those though. They're kind of like they're interesting ideas in both cases, and the artwork is cool and all that. But the games are, I don't know.
No, I even tried it because I don't think I had really tried, or not Casino Kid, but Wall Street Kid.
Right? It's so weird, dude. It's such a weird game, man. It's so fucking weird.
I'm investing, like I'm watching a stock go up, but like it's just not enough to keep me engaged. Like the idea is unique. Like I like the idea, but yeah,
like that game might be responsible for my entire career decision going to college. like that. I mean, I try to think about my dad drove a fucking truck. He had exactly 0 white collar friends. Like no one even close to this line of work anywhere in my life whatsoever growing up. And I just don't, where else does that work its way into my periphery of like choices in life, and like I didn't as a little kid I wanted to be a scientist. Like I shadowed a chemist in 7th grade career day and stuff, but like I mean part of it's I think could have been generated by like I wasn't even going to go to college, and like my guidance counselor calls me into the office my senior year of high school and like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, are you like gonna go to college? I'm like, I'm probably not. And and they're like, well, why don't you go take the test, the SAT and ACT? And like I crushed the SAT, and like I did so well in the SAT that I walked out of the ACT because it took so long. Like during the science part, I was like, fuck this is taking too long. I walked out of that shit, and I ended up graduating early, and that had nothing to do with like being a smart kid or having like my GPA was nothing impressive in high school at all. Just happened to have some classes, and it was like a life situation thing, trying to get the fuck out of my dad's house sooner. So like, yeah, like all that stuff lined up, and like I ended up just like, okay, fucking gonna go to school now. And they're like, you go to school, go to college, and they're like, they give you shit in the beginning. They're like, where are you going? And I was like, I don't know, business is general enough. I'm just like, okay, that's like, okay,
that's where you make money, right? Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. And like out of those like options, all of at Ohio State, because because I graduated early, I didn't have the 2 foreign language credits in high school. Oh. Yeah, so I didn't have a second Spanish credit. So the only if international business was the only one that required, like I wasn't going to do that because that required whatever. So language stuff that I didn't have, and I would have to take college language classes that I knew language is hard for me. So fucking like I didn't want to do that. So it was just like out of the remaining boxes, I was like, I don't know, finance. That's literally how the decision was made to go down the finance track, And like you choose finance and like, okay, stockbroker, right? Is that a stockbroker? I don't know. Like, what is that exactly? And
like, still at the time, you're like Gordon Gecko, like I'm making investments, I'm making money.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I don't even know if I don't know if I'd seen that movie though. Like that is honestly the only other option. Is like that movie is the only other potential like realistic, if you even call that realistic, exposure to what that career. And like I'm in Ohio. I don't think I'm going to New York. I don't have any plan to do that as I'm going through, especially early in school. And like I don't even know what it's like a stockbroker. Like that's not even an available job in Columbus, Ohio. Like, I ended up briefly becoming a financial advisor, and like that's kind of like the Midwestern equivalent. Like, but you're not trading. Much, yeah. You're not. I mean, there are certainly high. There's there are Merrill Lynch and companies like that where you would have a broker where if you wanted to play with stocks, you could probably call your broker, or you could call your broker, and they would be able to execute that for you. But it's not something that is prominently needed, I don't think, in that marketplace, in a Midwestern marketplace like that. So yeah, there's very few jobs where you're really even doing that, and it was just I don't know, it's all like I know that there was not like a really well researched decision making tree that went into those decisions early on in college, and fucking the only underlying, like this game, I feel for sure had some level of input on it.
Well, I feel like part of it, like even if it wasn't this game specifically, like I feel like it's those images and like the Wall Street guy, the Gordon Gekko, like you've seen them in your periphery, and especially if you grew up,
So cool.
we're in Ohio, didn't grow up with money. And so you're in college, it's like, wait, I can be anything I want. Like these dudes make money. I kind of want to go see what's happening over there in the finance. Like it's literally money. Like why would I not?
Right. Yeah, which is super well researched decision making. That's why that's the funny thing about it. You can get a whole diatribe about that, how dumb asking 18-year-old kids to pick what they're going to do in life is. But we go from there to a few TurboGrafx previews, Monster Lair or Dine, and taking it to the hoop, as you see behind me. Monster Lair looked very Wonder Boy-ish, but I couldn't find the ROM for this. Were you able to?
Because it is Wonder Boy 3. That's what it is.
Are you sure?
Yes, I looked it up because I was looking at this. I'm like,
that's not possible because we already played Wonder Boy 3. It's got to be.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They're different. The names are different. Remember that whole Monster Boy series? I pulled up the wiki because it's like the name of the original game that came out in the system, and then the ports and the names of those.
So
ports.
It's not SMS.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh fuck, you're right.
Exactly. Because I looked at it. I even wrote like Wonder Boy 3. Like, oh, okay. What's Wonder Boy 3? Got it. Because it is the game that we play.
That fucking explains so much things. Yeah, I tried. Those TurboGrafx ones. I'm trying to play them because they a lot of times they're fucking fun and cool. So yeah, I tried to find it. I couldn't find it. So that way to get to the bottom of that, Jay. Namco's or Dine was a lame ass flying shmup, though I would say the colors and look were very arcade level. I liked the look of it. It has an insane MSRP of $67.50 though. Like that's fucking crazy for that game.
Makes no sense. This ad doesn't even make you want to play it. And you're charging
yeah,
no,
crazy as hell. And then the last one is Taken to the Hoop, which is a great basketball game title and also has arcade tier aesthetics to it. So the shot behind me is the dunk cutscene that puts double dribbles to shame. Which granted, TurboGrafx 16 is a little better than NES. We've discussed that technically, so it's not that big of a thing to say, but fun, cool. Had a lot of cool cinematics. Like there's also a free throw cinematic thing, and it has I would call it a T-meter predecessor that gives you some input on the freebies from the stripe, like it's like, like a Magic Johnson's fucking fast break, for example, you're just hitting the button and like you just throw it up there, there's no actual input on your free throw acumen. It's just fucking a random, I guess, a dice roll or some shit. But yeah, pretty like, I don't know, it's like, I didn't even really fully map because mapping, I didn't have my Genesis controller out and mapping it's fucking the TurboGrafx emulator. The controllers are, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. I look at them online and there's not as many buttons as it tries to get me to map. when I try to map the TurboGrafx emulator controller, there's like fucking 11 buttons or something. And it's like, I don't get it. But so to the point of that is to map a controller on the TurboGrafx 16 emulator requires definitely to get out a 6-button Genesis one. And I didn't have it plugged in and I didn't want to deal with that. So fucking, I didn't do it. But I just like the few buttons I had, I fucked around with it and like the controls felt good. The fucking like the graphics looked fucking great for, this era of sports game. So I was mildly impressed. Definitely not, did not seem like a bad basketball game at all.
You talking about a basketball game and liking it in general is surprising. I did not expect. I looked at this and I'm not playing TurboGrafx games. Like the thought of buying a controller, I'm just not doing it. But you don't need to buy a TurboGrafx controller. It's not necessary. Fair, but looking at this ad had me thinking about it. I was like, the graphics do look good, like arcade, but I've never heard of it. Yeah, so it's a good ad though. I will say that ad got me like interested. If I had a TurboGrafx or was considering it, this game, I'd be considering it for sure.
Yeah, I love the title is fantastic too. That's a really good title for a basketball game. Take it to the hoop. It's very, very 90s. Yeah, it wasn't bad though. Next is some pretty weird shit from Culture Brain, an all-time record 9-banger advertisement peddling 4 of their so-so NES games. So we have Kung Fu Heroes in here, Flying Dragon, Baseball Simulator 1000, and The Magic of Sherazade. game that we've talked about before. So with the first, they're opening the spread with a 2-phase contest for Kung Fu Heroes. And those 2 phases are, there's certain retail outlets for the game are giving away board games and buttons that are themed with the game, which you could fill out a quiz inside of and mail in to possibly win prizes. And I could find, unfortunately, no record of these board games. I wanted so badly to find one. Not the case, though. So, and like that, like got my, we've just already said it once this time, how like advertising, are they really doing what they say they're doing? Like my antennas went up there when I couldn't find anything for it, And then they're also doing a high score photo submission deal where they're bringing the top 8 submissions or scores, I guess, to LA for a final tournament. And I could also find no record of this actually occurring. No pictures, nothing anywhere, not a single trace of it on the interwebs. So I don't know. Like I'm kind of guessing that they're full of shit and they didn't do either thing, Like they didn't get enough submissions and they were like, just sweep that under the rug.
I mean, so if you're listening to this and you've heard of this or know somebody playing this, let us freaking know, man.
If you participated in the fucking, did you get any actual remuneration from them from either of those? By all means, let us know. I would love to hear that and hear about it. Actually,
I will say it's a great job combining an ad like with a normal game spread, like with this tournament thing. Because when I looked at this, I was like, wait, they're just advertising a tournament.
Jay,
I was like, wait, no, it's a kung fu, it's a game. What?
You got here. This is just an ad, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
This whole thing is just an ad.
No, I'm saying when I first saw it, I was like, oh, they're having a tournament. And then I scrolled through, I was like, wait a minute, this is just an ad. They combined it. It got me though. That was the point though. It got me. I didn't just immediately
the whole thing. Like after that contest shit, they have for each of those 4 games, they have 2-page spreads that have absolutely the look of just being normal features in a magazine such as this, And it's I mean, they're of course the copy in them is just skewed in a glowing praise direction, which is, of course, the where that comes in. But yeah, I don't know. It's just funny when I first opened this issue up, dude, and I was like, I go through when I'm cracking open a new issue for the pod here, I go through and to create the outline, I got to go in and check the pages and like decide where the act breaks are. And like, this is issue 9, so we've done 8 of these, and they're all pretty I will actually go back and use an older file from the last time we did that magazine because usually the page counts line up and I have to change that shit for the new outline, So the fucking, in this case, I go to and there's like an extra 10 pages. I'm like, fuck, that's weird that they ballooned it that much. Like that's a big jump, Why? And like, sure enough, it's because of this fucking 10-page fucking ad. Like it's just
it's because Culture Brain was shelling out some dough and they're like 10 more pages on the way.
Yep. Very funny. So we've talked about all these games. The first 2 completely fucking blow. You kind of liked Kung Fu, I think, but I didn't.
No, the different Kung Fu. This one was like,
Are you sure? No. This is the one with the top down with the goofy. You said something.
This one was okay. My jam was like the Kung Fu.
Yeah.
This one's okay though. This is
sure. Yeah. I was like immediately
no chance.
Fuck off. Turn it off. The baseball game and Shirazad titles were mildly interesting. Like the baseball one has a lot of weird, futuristic like changes to the gameplay and stuff that I thought were intriguing, but neither one of them. And Shirazad is like, there's some interesting elements, kind of action RPG type deal in there that like kind of approach Link type stuff that make it not a total wash, but both of them are still, it's all still pretty Definitely not playing any of these for a fucking game, that's for sure. So some Game Boy previews, and then we have Tecmo full pagers peppered in as well. Tecmo World Wrestling, Bad News Baseball, Ninja Gaiden 2. We've talked about wrestling, and the other 2 aren't out.
I actually played it now that I had the full ROM again. It's so fun. I forgot I love this one so much.
It's a good wrestling game for sure.
So good.
And the other 2 games aren't out till June and May, respectively. It's funny though, both ads for the unreleased ones for Bad News Baseball and Ninja Gaiden 2, they misquote their release date. I mean, at least, granted, I'm looking at Moby Games for release dates, and I guess that doesn't have to be gospel and accurate. But according to Moby Games, these games came, like, it's the ads say April and June, like April for Bad News Baseball and June for Ninja Gaiden 2. And then the actual release dates, according to Moby Games, is Bad News Baseball comes out in June, and then Ninja Gaiden comes out in May. So, like not only wrong, but, like, crisscrossed. And, like, yeah, so way fucking off.
That Ninja Gaiden ad looks hot though, man. Like I saw that and I was like,
For sure.
Okay, like
Ninja
this
Gaiden
game was hard as fuck, and I never beat it, but I kind of want to try again.
Oh, the
Maybe.
cinematics are. I mean, the cinematics for the first one were fucking incredible. The cinematics for that are fucking great. They did, dude. We probably mentioned it, but there's a whole strategy guide in Ninja Gaiden 2. Like those four, like it was like the Mario 3, Ninja Gaiden 2, Final Fantasy, and then the 4-player guide were like the big Nintendo Power strategy guide. So there's there's a serious fucking piece of magazine shit to work with for that game too. So I think we should definitely at some point do it. But yeah, pretty good game, and they fixed a lot of the bullshit with it too. Like they listened to feedback, and I think it's a better game for sure. All the things that make Ninja Gaiden, the first one, particularly grating, are much better in the second iteration. And Bad News Baseball ad copy it mentions that there are, like, the tags at the top. It says there are separate boy and girl play modes, and I'm curious what exactly that will be. But
hopefully it's like a girls team, like if you're playing, like if you're a girl and you want to play.
Exactly. I mean, I'm guessing that's what it is, but that's like how else does that manifest? Is it just different sprite work? Like, do they go as far as to make it like softball-y, you know? Like, I don't know, like if did they change the rules at all? Which, yeah, you know, it's, I mean, there's intricacies to that decision making that could easily look much goofier and worse 30 years after the fact, or 20 years, 30 years after the fact, you know? So I'm curious to see what that'll be. So then it's Jay's Atari Corner time. Some wrestling action also. Matt Mania. What's the verdict, Jay? $34.99 the right price for this?
It's a no from me, dog. Yeah, it's no chance, man. No chance. This is a $20. This is a $10 market bid. This is a $5 flea market find. You know, I really think with wrestling games, you need several buttons. Like, you just need several buttons to do different moves. And part of it is with this, I couldn't find like a 7800 controller USB, so I'm using a 2600 with like extra buttons. But even with that, like the way you're holding it, like with the 7800, the buttons are on either side, so you're holding it like this. But with this, I'm still like having to move around.
Only have one button?
No, it has two, but they're on, like, the stick's on top, and there's like a button on either side.
I thought they were like, because, you know, the Atom computer, for example, we've talked about, and I'm sure you have no idea what I'm talking about as far as like being able to visualize a controller, but like it had that same kind of controller where it's like a numpad, a number pad, a little joystick, and then the side things that you squeeze. But it was just they both were the same button.
Oh no, this was definitely different. Like you used, and so it was weird.
That's super weird. Yeah, that's super weird to.
But I would actually be more used to that, whereas the 2600 controller has a stick on the top and two buttons on the top, so you can't easily like press them both at the same. Either way, this game was just all kinds of not working because you only have the stick and that button, so every move you do, like it's hard to differentiate between different moves, and it doesn't work. I really feel like you need several different dedicated buttons to play a wrestling game and have fun with it.
Yep, like 6 buttons and an arcade Genesis joystick for Royal Rumble, to be exact.
Yeah, they definitely tried. I'm impressed. I definitely tried it, played more than one match just to make sure. I was like, yeah, I just can't. No, there's so many better wrestling games out there, even at the NES level. I just can't mess with it. Sorry, guys.
Fucking do it. Well, bummer. After these messages.
We'll be right back.
Like a ghost in the moonlight, the ninja warrior stalks his prey. Unseen, unheard, and unnoticed. Mission accomplished. The final battle begins. Ninja Gaiden for Nintendo from Tecmo. Coming soon, more hard-to-beat action. Tecmo Bad News Baseball.
In the spirit of that upcoming May release of Ninja Gaiden 2, that is a 1989 Ninja Gaiden 1 US TV market commercial. And it is a kid sneaking down past his parents after bedtime in full ninja garb, which I like, to snatch the cartridge out from under their noses and go back upstairs and play the game after, like, he's supposed to be in bed, you know. And I don't know, how often did you? This like opened up a whole mental can of worms for me, dude. Like Jab and I would absolutely, we had I want to say it was 9:30. We were supposed to go to bed, you know, like around the time that when I first moved back in basically when we moved in together, when I think I was 10 years old. And yeah, we were supposed to go. I remember our bedtime was 9:30, and we would absolutely like close the door and fucking pretend to sleep, and then get up and quietly play NES games. Like we absolutely Genesis, whatever. We would absolutely fucking do that. So like it's just such a, I don't know, such a hit home thing to me to see a little commercial iteration of that. Did you and your Jesse do that at all, or?
We definitely had ninja outfits for sure. Full ninja outfits, 100%. We did not sneak out and play the game. So
I did not. I was not asking about the ninja thing, so I'm glad you chimed in with that.
That's my pick from this. I was like, oh yeah, I remember having a ninja costume and like plastic sword. Like, oh yeah, that was my jam.
I didn't have a ninja costume. I did have a Karate Kid outfit that was I had the bandana, the fucking shuriken. There was it something else? There was some other sort of something, but the white fucking
gi for sure.
Is that what it's called? Gi?
Yeah, gi. Yep.
Yeah. Did you take karate lessons as a kid?
No. I want to, but I never did. So I'm actually considering taking lessons now with like my son. Yeah.
That's perfect. That's such a good usage of having a child. I went like 1 or 2 times. I remember like going to some classes when I was like 5 years old. I did that a bunch when I was little. I fucking did that a bunch as a kid. Period. I went to wrestling for like 1 or 2 things, 2 bitty wrestling. I remember I got the T-shirt, never went back. Like tried that. Soccer I remember going to only a couple of times as a little kid, like a little 5 or 6 year old. Quit fucking football in 7th grade, 3 games in because they weren't throwing the ball. Also because I was too small for football. Quit basketball in 9th and 11th grade during conditioning. You know, like fucking such a quitter on the sports front.
Unacceptable, Josh. Unacceptable. Kids, don't be like Josh.
Don't be like Josh. Yeah, I was super undersized though. That was my excuse. I was fucking tiny. I was not competitively sized as a child, unfortunately. Much too much of a late bloomer. Anyways, getting back to GamePro 9 here, we have SWAT hot tips getting us going in Act 3, and that's funny. Like, it's never made the connection. It's amazing to me that I didn't make that connection about the TurboGrafx iteration of it because they have in here, they mention Wonder Boy and Monsterland. There's an F for SMS, and the tip here, it's just such OG gaming type shit. So after you've gotten your first sword, you press pause 73 times, and then you'll receive 45 free pieces of gold. It's just like such a fucking like this, like the kind of thing that there's just no way. Like no one ever accidentally found that. You have to be told that. You know what I mean?
Like there's no way you doing that, and then. How do you go back and start over and re-verify? Like, let me just see.
Exactly right. Yeah.
You know?
Even if like whatever, like you accidentally put your fucking grape Faygo can down on your controller and that happens, like you're like no way. Like you just spend the rest of your life completely bewildered on how to recreate that. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's fucking such a I don't know. And again, like you just don't have that shit. Like you don't. There's at least I don't know. Maybe I don't play every new game, so maybe this does exist in some way, shape, or form in modern gaming somehow or another, but like I just don't feel like it's not there. Not to mention, like even if it did exist, the way information moves and is everywhere at all times around us, like it wouldn't be the same mystique to it, you know. So that's kind of why probably they don't do it, because it's like there's no such thing as a hidden thing anymore. It doesn't exist.
Somebody finds it immediately, or it's leaked immediately, and you just have to choose to not.
Yeah, usually before the game comes out. Yeah. Exactly. So the Fester's Quest tidbit is pretty gold. Did you notice this? So it's
now they find it necessary.
Yes, manual changes. Right. So so there's here are a few things from I'll just read the copy. Here are a few things from the Fester's Quest manual that Sunsoft would like to clarify. So not having the whip at the game start, which I don't remember being claimed in the manual. Like I just read the manual 2 or 3 weeks ago, you know, cover to cover. I don't remember that not being a thing. I don't remember like being like, oh, what the fuck. But anyways, they clarify that Wednesday's item Vice Grips is misspelled as Vice Grips with a C, so VICE, and not with an S like VISE. And reading this is when in my life, nearly 40 years old. That's when I learned that these are called Vice Grips with an S and not Vice Grips with a C. I've been calling them and thinking of them as spelled as such my whole entire life. Did you know that Vice Grips are with an S?
No, I was getting I saw this copy as well. I was like, wait, what now?
Yeah, and I, dude, yeah, and I'm like, I think I blame Sunsoft in this fucking game. Like, I think that's the reason. I think that's what taught me how to spell vice grips, and I have been spelling it wrong your entire life. And it's like it's the kind of thing too that you can spell wrong your whole entire life because spell checker isn't getting that. you know?
You. Like,
Yeah. So what the fuck, man? Like, and I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone else spell like, clearly, like I've read a lot of things at this point, and like, granted, I may not be reading a lot of fucking tooltip fucking magazines or anything where I would see vice grips spelled out, but like, I don't know, man. It blew. Like I read it, and I was like, "What? Are you fucking serious?" It's at this stage in life. Like I said, all fucking damn near 40 years of not dying. Like there's just not. It's just you're almost out of shit that's new. It's just there's just no more new shit. You know what I mean? Like you're all set on new shit. So like anytime it happens where you're like you find out your entire life has been a lie, and even the most minute way, it's like holy shit.
It's great.
I definitely got that from this. It was quite surprised. And then they also specify you can only increase your life 1 unit at a time, which is another thing I don't recall being misrepresented in the manual.
But they did, remember? Because they said
I didn't.
I don't know if it was the manual. No, I think it definitely was because it said, hey, you can get extra life units by going into the house. You can get 4 life units, but you go there and you're like, I only have 3.
Is that how?
Okay. Then we figured it out. Like, get the 4th one like later.
Right. Yeah. So I think I just because I knew that it didn't work that way, didn't interpret the copy that way. So yeah, just super weird that Sunsoft. This came from Sunsoft. Sunsoft got in touch with GamePro. They're like, we fucked up a bunch of stuff. And people are pissed off. This is a way to get the word out, a correction, which is super interesting because Sunsoft also has, if you recall, they have their own little newsletter thing they do, So like, the little a few page newsletter thing they did. So like, they had their own little information distribution pipeline too. So the fact that they went, maybe that's why they also reached out to a magazine. Like maybe most developers don't even think of that because they don't even have, this is not even on the radar of things, So the fact that they had their own, they're like, well, maybe we should try to get into other magazines too, to help more widespread spread the word. So maybe that's the explanation for that as opposed to like a contradictory thing. But
it was necessary though, man. Like 2 out of those 3 things, except for the vice grip thing, which is more of like a shock. I thought of both of those because I was at first picking up the whips and I was like, why can I not switch to the whip? Like I forgot. Again, it wasn't only because I remembered it as a kid. And I was like, oh, that's right. I remember having this exact same experience as a kid. And then later when I got the whip, it was like, oh, now I can use it. It's irrelevant for now. So I
guess, yeah, there's a certain level of just like inundation with the baseline knowledge of this game from having it started in 1989 or whenever I got it, that just these things don't even occur to me as misrepresentations. So I stand corrected in those regards. But yeah, it's just super interesting again that Sunsoft fucking is the one behind this as opposed to, GamePro choosing to whatever. Anyways, there's some hot Revenge of Shinobi cheese I hope I don't have to use. See,
yeah.
So unlimited shurikens and or 1-ups.
The shurikens did not work when I tried it. I tried this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know what happened. So yeah, it definitely never turned into an infinity symbol. I definitely started with 0 shurikens.
So maybe that's one of those things that we kind of half-assed learned about with Fester's Quest, the different ROM iterations. Maybe we have a ROM that maybe it's the US ROM or some shit, that only acknowledges that little fucking thing.
Very possible.
So perhaps, yeah, because it's a super specific thing to just make up.
But hopefully the other code.
Which actually, I'm sorry. You know what? Look at that. Is it? Where's it at here? Is it a user submitted one or is it from the pros? That's a question to take a look at. Lars and John Work in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Sorry, Kevin Knox in Dearborn, Michigan, dude. There you go. Limitless shurikens from a kid in Michigan. Probably wrong. Not from the pros. So maybe it is bullshit. Who knows?
Hopefully the 1-up one isn't though, because that one could be very useful. More useful.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Well, and that one's kind of, I believe that one for sure, because that's not just some like little thing. That's like a part of the game that you can exploit. You know what I mean? That's much harder to fabricate. So, or get wrong, I should say. The I'm sure the other one is like some sort of, and you would think like they have to test these too. Like it's got to work, dude. You know,
You would think,
yeah.
They're not
Anyways,
just random stuff out here.
yeah, just get letters claiming the fucking universe or what's that saying? Like the fucking God, the God, the fuck, what the hell is that saying? The everything, I don't know, whatever. Who cares? Yes, they're definitely just not believing anything that gets written in and fucking like, oh yeah, sure, let's propagate this out into the world. That's fucking piece of information. There's got to be some check and balance. Anyways, lastly, the TMNT tip for the underwater level is to get a turtle captured to cheese the level timer. And that is an absolutely horrific recommendation for that game, in my humble opinion. Like, losing turtles, always bad. Like, you only have
Always
4.
bad, but I would try it because that was freaking hard. Like that was such a hard.
It was hard, but not as hard as fucking getting a turtle back in that game. And getting a turtle back in that game is a biatch, dude. Like there's only like 2 or 3 instances where it's later in the game and hard parts of the game already. You do not want to have to take a detour to go get a turtle back. You know, it's so unproductive to get a turtle fucking captured, in my opinion. Especially that early too. That's the second level, man. Like it's no way. That is not a long-term success fucking tactic at all, dude. It's terrible.
Maybe they're just like, well, it's a cheese. I mean, hey, it's a code. We'll put it in there.
I guess yeah.
Should do that.
This does accomplish the thing it's saying, even if it's in the half-ass way. I guess. Anything else in there in the SWAT tips?
Not really, man. That was the last thing that was exciting to me. There's so many tips here. It was, I mean, some of them, obviously, a lot of them were games we've played already that are like, like the Ultra Beast. Like, do I care about points? Not really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are a shit ton of full pagers throughout here. Like you said, there's a ton of tips, so there's a bunch of ads in here as well. There's Capcom's Codename Viper, the Pantless Hero side scroller we've talked about. There's recent ISOH Game Up alum Heavy Barrel from Data East. There's some Game Boy puzzler shit from FCI Boxel. Then there's Dino Wars, the Destruction of Spondylus from Bandai, which is finally out this month. And this game is so fucking weird, dude. Did you turn it on and fuck with it?
I did not. I looked at it and I was like, I feel like I remember this game being weird. Like, no, I didn't even.
It's such a weird game. And Jab had the cart too, so there's like this. I talked to him extensively about it, and like he just would like it was funny. He's such a fucking fuck. He's such a weird human being. He's like, I basically get to, it's just there's things about this game that just don't work. It fucking kind of sucks. And he's like, I don't tell you. He's like, I can't. He's like, I have a soft spot for it. I can't. Like, I don't agree. I just think like it's like they're trying to do stuff here, and like and it is. So like the problem with it, so it starts you off with this weird platforming sequence with just the little dude, like your little hero, right? And the whole idea of the game is that you control this robot dinosaur, and you're on kind of an alien world, and you're fighting other alien or robot dinosaurs. So that's what the cover is. That's what the game's about. Like essentially, no one's buying this game that wants to spend a second of this game not controlling a robot dinosaur. Like that's that's why you're picking this game up. No bones about it. And so you start without that, and you have to like go through this ultra lame platforming sequence with just the dude. And the thing is, you're doing that to get to your dinosaur. So like the idea is that these things have invested your little base or whatever, and you have to fight your way to your dinosaur. And that's actually really good story. And this was Jab's bitch. He's like, that's really good story building, particularly at the NES level, and world building. And I'm like, yeah, but the fucking platform sequence sucks dick. It is so fucking bad. So bad. So yeah, you have to, and like the whole cycle of the game is you're just coming out of that fucking robot dinosaur again and again and again. Like you start off, you go through that little platforming sequence, you get your dinosaur, and then you go outside, and it's like this, it's got this awesome ass cinematic where you're going to your dinosaur, and the eyes light up, and you power up, and you go out and you play this side scrolling deal where you control the dinosaur, and you can get different little pickups, loot crates for fucking like that change his kind of like there's like
there's
guns
and
yeah, there's bombs. You can get like this robot arm that goes out. It's like a punch that with a projectile aspect to it, So it's got a pretty varied weapon pickup system that you can get into. It can be a little frustrating too because they have levels, and if you pick up a different type, you go back to level 1 of that type. So it's kind of like Fester's Quest syndrome in that you're picking up supposed power ups that are actually ruining your life. Yeah, fucking up your life a little bit. So that kind of sucks, but it's still cool that the system exists. And yeah, so yeah, you battle your way through the whole first stage, right? I beat a boss, and then you go back inside this building to control your dude in that platforming side scroll thing again, without the dinosaur. And it's just like, again, just the controls of that part of it suck so fucking bad. And it's like, it's just such a cool idea. The game is such a great idea, and just such a bad execution of it that it's really frustrating.
It's weird watching it. Like, I see, like, the cinematic is cool when you're the guy and you go into the dino, and then like it changes and you're like, all right, I'm this little guy, I jumped into this huge dinosaur, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
But then you're this size and the dino fighting other things this size. It doesn't. Something about that looks off to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the payoff of if you're gonna have that disparity between the two, I don't know, gameplay mechanics. Yeah, they needed to make the dinosaur segments more cool,
different, better.
Yeah, more cool. Yeah. The size of your sprite is only I mean, it may be 2 of your hero in the
maybe.
So, yeah, and yeah, it's just not good. And honestly, even the control of the dinosaurs kind of suck. Like, you don't have really, I don't know. It's kind of just a lame side-scrolling action platformer to some degree when you're out there in the dinosaur. Does not feel as cool as you hope it to be, certainly when you look at the artwork and stuff. That's the thing too, like the artwork for the game is just so lit. Like that poster that was in fucking, like I posted the little clip of the cinematic getting to the dinosaur on our shit, and fucking Steve over at fucking Frankenculture is like, oh man, I remember the poster in fucking Nintendo Power, and it's fucking awesome. That was like that level of impact artwork for this game, and just in execution did not pan out as you would hope. So that's a bummer. We have 2 more ads, the Spy vs. Spy one from Kimco, and then yet another new Toys R Us ad that is almost as fucking awesome as the Ginger Kid one from the last issue. And the headline is "Get a Grip." And I'm listening. They have a very unsettling looking mullet child as well. Different one though, like I said, not the same Ginger Kid, holding onto an oversized joystick.
Like it's what it looks like.
Exactly. Yeah, it's super. Yeah, it's big, and you can't see what it's attached to. And they have the Advantage and Max controllers pictured along with Tetris and Dragon Warrior, as well as a Game Boy with baseball and Super Mario Land. So teasing all the right things there. Toys R Us is fucking crushing it on the fucking ad campaign front right now. And Ask the Pros is on Spellcaster for the SMS. Pass. Some not new ads get us to short pro shots to talk previews after that. And there are a couple of NES games not out yet. Some Disney Capcom collab called Adventures in the Magic Kingdom that is actually it's just set in their fucking theme park. It's literally an ad for Disneyland. Did you look at
played this game though?
I didn't look at it. I mean, no, it's not out yet, but it's probably great. It's Capcom. It's probably fucking great.
I love this game. That's what's on my background right now. I instantly played this as a kid. Like, I instantly remember playing this as a kid, and like you're having to answer all these Disney questions about Disney.
It said there were trivia questions.
Yeah. But you're going around to different places in the park, and I remembered it. Obviously I didn't play too far. I think I probably played for like half an hour or so. But it's so fun. Like, I forgot that this is a part of the whole series with,
it's top down like this? Isn't this side actions? What
does this top down look? So right now it's top down when you're out in the park talking to people and answering questions. But when you go into individual rides and things, it switches to like the side scrolling view.
It said the different. Okay, that's cool. That's a pretty cool application of again, what seemed like a theme park ad. I never fucked with this one.
It's kind of like in the same. It was released when I was reading about it because, of course, this one I looked up because of the release date because I was playing it. I was like, I know this one's not out yet. Like, it was released as a part of, that same Disney afternoon lineup. So Scrooge McDuck, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the one Darkwing Duck Day. It was reduced. I cannot speak. It was introduced around that same time.
Yeah, it was I think that the House of the Mickey Mouse one was in there too. It was actually pretty good. It's probably the weakest of them all, but still pretty good game comparatively. Then we have Mad Max IP exploitation for Mindscape. That one's also not out yet. And then the last NES title in here is Tengen is bringing yet another SMS tentpole to the NES in the form of Fantasy Zone this time. And this hit in Christmas of '89, so it's fair game. And I expected, like these NES versions of the SMS games, Afterburner, they have also, there's a few of these, the fucking, can't remember them all right now because there's so many, but these are I just I know they're not going to be as good as the SMS version. The NES can't do what the SMS can, and vice versa necessarily. So these like trying to bring these over here, I'm expecting like especially the color palette. That's like my biggest thing. Like the SMS is such a the colors are so vibrant, on that system, and the artwork is such a vibrant thing that the SNES just can't do it color palette wise. So I expect it to look like shit because that game is so pastel and bright, and I was actually blown away by how fucking vibrant and good it looked from an aesthetic. I mean, it's still like, the sprite's smaller. It's not definitely SMS version is better, but again, I expected dumpster fire and it was not that bad. It controlled pretty good. The music was still good. Like I was actually if we're going to play this game, we're going to play the SMS version. Like we're never going to play this version of it. But again, just, I expected worse, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Because of all those aspects, I didn't play it at all. I was like, nope, not playing this with that. Because of all those reasons you just outlined. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I did play Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle, though.
I did as well. It's an SMS game. You liked it?
It was fun. No, dude, it's a Genesis game.
I know, but it looked. I couldn't. I was looking at it. I was like, are you fucking sure? Because it's got like that blue screen that is like all the menu screens for SMS games. The artwork and the color style, it looked so much like an SMS game. It blew my fucking mind. Like again, I am not kidding you, dude. I had to download it, so I have to go. I see that it's Genesis when I download it. I take the ROM. I have all my ROMs divided into different game system folders, even the Sega ones. Or I have an SMS and a Genesis folder in my ROM database. So I put it in the Genesis folder. I go into the KGen fucking app. You have to choose from the menu. I mean, it plays all the different types of systems for Sega, but you have to choose which one from the menu when you're loading the ROM. So I have to choose Genesis in there. I go to my Genesis folder. I open the ROM. So I did all that, and I still was playing this game for a few seconds. I'm like, no, this is SMS. And I had to go. I went back and double checked.
It says that it's a 16-bit version of Alex Kidd and the Miracle World. Okay. So so maybe they didn't do a whole lot. Yeah.
So they literally just bumped it up to fucking the Genesis to retool it. Yeah. Okay. That makes a ton of sense because I was just like, I thought it was terrible. And just fucking. I mean, mostly because I'm sure if you play, that's the thing. If I played it on SMS, I'd probably be like, okay, this is fine. But because of like the I don't know, the duplicity of the presentation here, I was just like, this is a fucking SMS game that you're trying to tell me is a Genesis game. You're lying to me. Fuck you. I was not at all happy about that. And then the other one for Genesis here is Ghostbusters. It's not out yet, but it looks way fucking better than that Activision version for the SNES and the SMS. Like it looks fucking it looks fucking like there's like cutscene. It looks like a completely different, like they from scratch did something completely different. So I look forward to checking that out. Then, right? No, it's not out yet.
I played it because again, like I think I was looking up release dates midway through, and I just stopped. I was like, I'm just gonna play what I want to play, and if it's not out, then I just won't play it next time. This game, graphic, sound, like I'm shocked for what I've seen at the time. Like I'm clearly missing some things. I need the manual because I'm like, why is this not working? But from what I've seen, looks freaking good.
Genesis, man, I would guess. Yeah, I mean, fucking, that's like I didn't even know that it existed on Genesis.
Me neither. They got big sprites, like it's Bill Murray. Like it's definitely movie Ghostbusters. It's not like some little weak attempt.
Yeah, that's awesome. So they got fucking Winston in there. Did they shaft Winston?
No, they shafted him.
Did they shaft him? What the fuck is up with that?
Actually, I remember the three. I remember having to select between Bill Murray, Egon, and the other. I'm pretty sure Winston is not in there, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be misremembering.
Yeah, that's fucked up. What is with
I could be misremembering though.
I know he doesn't come in right away, but still, I just can't believe that all these fucking Ghostbusters IP keep fucking minimizing his impact on the fucking group.
Unacceptable.
Super fucked up, man. Yeah. Okay, we get another full pager for Twin Cobra, and then we get Black Bass, Double Dragon, and fucking Magic Johnson's Fast Break before we get to the Pro News Report for some current gaming news and events. And this has been expanded from its usual single page to a whopping 3, although it's really just 2.5 because of an ad. But the reason they do that, I'm guessing, is because they're doing CES coverage here, and they are talking like this. They open it up by talking about Super Mario Brothers 3 like it's not out yet.
Right? I was very confused.
Yeah, it was out.
News report, man.
Yeah, exactly. And that's definitely wrong for March because it's in the March-April issue, which hit newsstands early March for Nintendo Power. And so let alone the April newsstand date of this issue. So it should have been in the last issue was out, But that's kind of, I mean, the whole time I'm going through this one, I'm like, how are they not talking about Super Mario Bros. 3 yet? What the fuck is going on here? Like, what the fuck, man? So yeah, that's weird as fuck to me. And like, CES I think was in March because and actually it must have been in February because Nintendo Power talked about the CES for the March issue too. So like they've been sitting on this for like a month and some change, publishing some super outdated information. It was like it's bad reporting. Super
surprised. Like all the titles that I recognize in there, it seemed like we had talked about them before.
Exactly, and that's because Nintendo Power did their fucking CES stuff already. Exactly, yeah, and the whole thing is just that too. They don't really talk about anything else in here but CES game titles. So you have 3 pages of shit we've known for a month and a half, as far as if you have your finger on the pulse of the gaming community, as we do. They do one fun thing they do here. The last page, though, is they have a whole page of some Todd they dressed up as their mascot, as just like GamePro in the comics. And I so badly wanted to find the name of this dude to look at what he might have todded into down the road after this, but no fucking luck. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any. I could nothing in there. They don't mention it, and they don't cite him in the mag. And then I couldn't find anything as far as Googling goes. I did, however, find an awesome photo archive for CES conventions from 1967 and onward on TheVerge.com. And I posted the link on our shit, and the link will be in the show notes. But yeah, it's photographs, of the conventions. And dude, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I know it's the biggest electronics thing, kind of industry thing. I know it's a big deal, and has been a big. I didn't know it was around 67, but I knew. I knew it was a big deal for a long time now. But dude, I mean, the photos. If you go through those photos, like it is fucking bananas, dude. They're just like it's like. Motherfuckers are just like fucking packed on top of each other to fucking look at this shit and like fuck with these things. I was blown away by like how intense it looked, even in like the 60s pictures, of how populated it was and how busy it was and how just like frenzied and frantic it looked. Like I don't know, it looked like fucking animals, man. Like fucking National Geographic coverage of human beings. It's really, really cool photo series. So I would check that out if that sounds at all intriguing to you. And the pictures in the thing here too, Toddery notwithstanding, the photos are pretty cool. He's like, it shows him at different booths and stuff. He's at like the Sunsoft booth. He's with Batman and fucking different mascots and stuff.
Elvira and stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so pretty fun. After that, we have a bunch of ads we've seen, and they bring back the shitty high scores with no player locations listed in this, and they tease Ninja Gaiden 2 in the next issue before we get to a slight retooling of the Tenjin ad we've seen many times back here. So yeah, this is always usually in the back cover, the back inside cover, and it shows all Tenjin's titles. A lot of them, like we said, are SMS ports and stuff. All those usual suspects are here again, but notable additions here that I had not seen prior to this are Police Academy and RBI Baseball 2. And Police Academy never ended up making it out, unfortunately. Confirmed in a Paste magazine article. I'll put a link to in the show notes and post it on our shit as well. The article also mentioned a Hellraiser cash grab from Colored Dreams, your favorite company, that might have been their one saving grace, and they didn't actually get it out. So that's fucking lame. But there's a screenshot. I mean, I think there must have been a ROM dump or something of it, or at least some of the demo stuff, because you can actually, there's a screenshot in the article of Hellraiser pits, like a pretty cool pixel art of Pinhead, which is pretty awesome. Hellraiser was a cool. Not one I had a ton of exposure to as a kid, but I knew it existed, and Pinhead was definitely intriguing to me. It was almost like which is weird. Like I did not self-censor when it comes to horror stuff as a kid or anything, and it may have just been a lack of ability to get to it somehow or another. But like I don't remember seeing a lot of those, and like I think of it as scary even now as an adult. So there's a possibility to me that I subconsciously was like, nope, not doing that one.
There was something about Hellraiser which seemed. Maybe as a kid, like anything that seemed like legit demonic, like this is some real shit. You don't want to mess with it. Like I was like, no, thank you.
And that the whole thing was like I remember, even though I don't know if I've ever watched one in its entirety. I think I tried to get Amy to sit down and watch the first one with me one time, and I fell asleep, and she bitched at me for falling asleep because she had nightmares and shit after the fact. So like, yeah, but like there's the scene where the guy, like they're at a party or something, and the guy's upstairs and he has the little cube, and he fucking opens it somehow or another, doing a little seance or something, and the fucking the things come out of it and rip his fucking chest open and shit. And I think that's maybe how might be the origin story of Pinhead, or maybe I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't watched it enough to know the full story of Hellraiser, but like that scene is etched into my psyche. Anyways, Police Academy was never my jam. Very different topic. Despite my love for Steve Guttenberg, ever after having worked with him a couple of times on those Desert Turkey movies, I don't know. It's just like an IP that did not mean much to me. Did you? Like,
I really enjoyed the Police Academy movies, and funny enough, man, I can't remember the guy's name now. That is crazy. The one who does all the sounds.
I knew that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know why.
I want to say that guy. I want to say he passed. I want to say he died young.
Well, he was friends with my older brother. And
so
he came to our house when I was a kid and stuff. I met him. He did the voices live, and so I was like, "Holy shit, he can really do that!" Like, I'm amazed, you know.
Yeah, I'll say there's no way to avoid not being into those movies if that happens.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Of course, yeah.
I'm like, that's the guy. He was doing that at my house. Like,
yeah, that's fucking awesome. In Columbus, Ohio, he's from Ohio.
Yeah, man. He was friends with my brother Tony, and they came to our house one time, and I was like, "Oh, hey," you know.
No shit, that's cool.
Yeah, they were friends. I can't remember how, but yeah, they met somehow.
Word. Very cool. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just, you know, like that's the kind of movie that would have required my dad being into it, and I guess he wasn't into it because I don't ever remember watching those. And it kind of seems like dumb. Like my dad was not by no means fucking too good for dumb slapstick shit, you know. So like I'm surprised that he wasn't. Maybe he was, and I wasn't in the room when he watched them. I don't know. But yeah, those movies just didn't get me as a kid. Anyhow, fuck all that, man. RBI Baseball 2. Did you fuck with this?
No, not at all.
Oh my god, dude! I've never even dabbled, and like I'm a huge fan of the first game. We've talked about that. Like, it's like, you know, I love how, because I love Bases Loaded 2 also, but I love how much it's more of an arcade experience of a baseball game than Bases Loaded 2 is. It's like they're two different, you know, they're both great in their own way, and I like the differences that they have between them. But dude, this game is fucking amazing. They changed the sprites from that roly-poly little chubby fucker vibe the ones in the first game have, to more standard looking athletic human kind of thing. So, you know, it just feels more an effort towards realism, I guess. And they kept the arcade, like the gameplay was still the same kind of fun. The batting is better. The pitching, I don't know if the pitching's not better than Bases Loaded. Like the control you have over pitching in Bases Loaded 2 for NES is kind of fucking unreal, to be honest with you. The level of control you have with pitch movement and variance, how you're able to control your pitch mid whatever to actually recreate the different types of baseball pitches. So it's by no means as complex on the pitching front, and you know, that's where maybe it still is more of an arcade game than a true effort towards simulation. But they because the first one it's got I don't know, fucking 12 teams or 14 teams or something. They don't have the whole MLB basically, and neither game has MLB licenses, but both games have player licenses. So in the first one, what was cool too is you recognize player names, and the players have underlying attributes to some degree or another that mirror, you know, who those players were in real life, you know. So this one has the player's license still, so you have all the players, but it's got all 26 teams. So, and they didn't have Cleveland in the first one either, which I of course always hated. So they have Cleveland in this one now. So I immediately jumped on Tom Candiotti on the mound and Joe Carter bashing dingers for me, because the rosters are 89, which is like that is my childhood baseball. That's the year for me for childhood baseball. But before I moved over to fucking football, and like the 89 Topps Cleveland Indians team set is like something that I bought as a thing, fucking like from somewhere as a kid. I remember, and I remember having everyone on fucking Tom Candiotti. I got fucking Corey Snyder here.
I had that. Yeah. I had that exact figurine also.
Yeah.
Oh
Corey
my
Snyder.
gosh.
I got Corey Snyder's starting lineup figure.
I was collecting those starting lineup figures back.
I didn't have those as a kid. I did not have those as a kid, really. But I'm surprised.
The Reds ones, the Reds and Yankee ones. I had those.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah. Fucking my boy Groob. You remember Ryan Groob by chance? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Groob was like cleaning out a bunch of shit at his house. I don't know, Jamie was probably making them throw shit out. Fucking, they got fucking like 40 kids now, and so he was like literally gonna throw a bunch of stuff away, and he just like I called it. I've talked about it on the pod before. I think I mentioned it already, but it was like I called it like a Rust Belt sports starter pack. So I guess he was from Canton, Akron as well area, so he was into the Indians, Cleveland stuff, but for some reason he also liked the Bills as a kid. So he's got Cornelius Bennett and Jim Kelly starting lineup figures, that Corey Snyder figure, and the cards he sent me were like a Vitaly Potapinko rookie and like a bunch an Andre Reed Pro Line signed card, the autographed card from the 1991 Pro Line set, and like some other fucking a couple of cards that were just like I said, I call it the Rust Belt. The early 90s Rust Belt starter sports starter pack that he just randomly mailed me because he was going to throw this shit away or try to sell it on eBay. Probably he sells a lot of shit on eBay. So yeah, that was super cool. They just sent me that shit out of nowhere. But anyways, yeah, fucking 89 fucking Cleveland Indians allowed me to play them. So that's fucking awesome. And it's got a full season sim mode now too. So you can play a whole season, which the first game only had kind of like this tournament bullshit to it that was like, you know, more than one game, but not a full baseball season. So that's built out better than the first game's thing. And yeah, man, I mean, it's, you know, in general, I would say that the sim aspects are still a hair behind the Bases Loaded 2 stuff, where the Bases Loaded 2 has like the biometrics I've talked about for the players between games. They change how, you know, physically tip-top shape they are and how they might perform statistically in the next game, you know. So there's that level of complexity that's absent here, but generally speaking, I mean, I think it's definitely overall a better baseball game. The arcade play is much better. The shitty part about Bases Loaded 2, where like you hit a fly ball and like trying to get your player to get underneath how fast the ball moves and stuff is like borderline impossible. And this is a much better job of just kind of executing baseball in a way that you can be competitive and actually enjoy it too, you know. So yeah, man,
Nice.
really fucking good. Really fucking good baseball game. And we have not played a baseball game yet for this. We haven't played much sports stuff at all. And like part of it's because we, you know, they're still figuring sports games out, and they're not necessarily aren't a lot of good ones yet.
There's not a lot of hits at all at this time.
Exactly right. And dude, this game is fucking great. So
It looks good. It looks like a game. There was a baseball game I played as a kid, and I still can't remember what it was. I'm like, is it this game that I actually really enjoyed? Like I played it a lot, and I don't.
Baseball Stars maybe too is another good one.
Well, I played a game similar to this, maybe this, and then there was a game that was Bo Jackson game, like I played a lot. But
I had the Game Boy one.
Yeah.
The Game Boy Baseball on both. The football was pretty shitty, but the Game Boy Baseball version was great. Really good baseball game.
baseball, like this seems like a more simple baseball game, which I think I was into at the time. You know, like there's some sports games where I want all the details, give me all the options. I think with baseball, it's like keep it simple. Let me be able to hit the ball, throw it, like we're good.
Yeah.
This kind of looks like that type of game.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, it's a good. I think the good sweet spot between complexity and just fun. You know what I mean? So yeah, dude, yeah, you're gonna hear about this later for sure. I promise you. I never would have guessed, like going into this, if you'd asked me, like, would this be a big sports extravaganza issue? No, like I did not expect to be encountering new sports games right now that we had not played and were good enough to warrant playing. So the fact that we had two of them in here was pretty surprising to me. The back cover features the Konami LCD handheld line, which is pretty hot gaming IP. But you know these fucking things absolutely suck for sure. They picture bottom of the ninth baseball, Bayou Billy, double dribble, Top Gun, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Gradius, Skate or Die, Contra. And I once got my hands on the TMNT one a time or two at a friend's house. I can't remember exactly where or who it was, but I have pretty much zero memory of the gameplay, which means it probably wasn't memorable. I don't know. Did you? Yeah. We talked about we had that whole issue that had that really featured these. Did any of these jump out to you and jar any memories or anything?
Not really. The ones I had weren't this brand, So I'm looking at. I'm like, did I have a? But no, I definitely didn't have it come out once.
They were definitely not as prominent as the Tiger ones as far as availability goes, for sure. Yeah. Okay, well, let's figure out what game we're gonna play.
That is the desert theme from Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle, bringing us into our nominations.
I went first last time, Jeff.
I knew you were going to say that. I had a very tough time this time. For the first time in a while, I had too many selections and I wasn't able to narrow them down.
I had to wean down too. I had like 6 or 7 written down.
So my first two that I immediately wrote down are games that we talked about before that showed up in this issue. Batman, Truxton finally with its full spread. So I'm like, yes, give Truxton some love. We've talked about Batman multiple times, so those don't need to talk about those. My third one originally was Solstice until I had to cross it out because I realized it wasn't ready yet. So I was like, all right. So then I put down Lolo 2, wondering if I was asking for a headache. Like, this is fun. Is this going to be painful? I don't know if there's like 100 stages and I'm going to be cursing myself for Chinese later. But yeah,
that's
so
that's the perfect kind of game too, though, where I mean, there is something missed by not finishing it, but like most game, like we didn't finish Fester's Quest, like that's an incomplete podcast. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you don't finish Legends of Lolo 2, like I think I quit. I think I quit on Dig Dug 2, didn't I? I didn't finish Dig Dug 2, did I?
Yeah, you didn't finish that either.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to have a good pod episode about that. So, but anyway, sorry.
But yeah, a lot of the other games which I highlighted are not out yet. You know, I was looking at, or they don't really work. Like I looked at Archon, I was like, wow, this is such a fun game. Like I don't know if I want to do a whole episode on it. Like how do we do that? We would talk about that different things, but I don't know. And then Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. Again, I loved it as a kid. I don't know if I ever beat it. It's not out yet, so that does not work. So yeah, man, it's just tough. There are a lot of decent games, a lot of games that even talking about it with you, I'm like, oh, I could play that game. That could be fun. Like Tecmo World Wrestling, I loved it. Like, how do you beat that game? I don't know. It was just a super fun game as a kid. Ninja Gaiden 2, hard to beat. Would totally play that. That's obviously not out yet. So kind of all over the place, man. There's a lot of games I could play from this episode for sure.
Okay. I'm shocked that there's no overlap because of the number, I guess. Maybe that's why it's less surprising. But anyways, my noms are, looks like I definitely win sports at this time. Slapshot, SMS. Like I said, I think there's plenty there. Like it's super fun. The one thing about it is, and granted, it wasn't with you, but it's a little bit redundant with Blades of Steel episode that we already did. I guess the idea that we couldn't play comparative games. Actually, I just started listening to a podcast that did an episode. What the hell is the name of that podcast? What's the name of it now? I can't think of it. Son of a bitch.
They're comparing.
Yeah, they did an episode on Blades of Steel versus ice hockey, and I was like, oh, that's such a cool idea. Great way to do it for games like that are so closely aligned and whatever. So, but anyway, yeah. So Slapshot for the SMS, RBI Baseball 2 for NES, and I really think we should. I think it'd be so much fun to play that. And the Revenge of Shinobi. Still, like
I forgot about that one. Yeah,
exactly.
I considered that one too. I just didn't highlight it. I was like, I don't know. For some reason, I thought it wasn't out. Why didn't I highlight it? Maybe I just stopped highlighting stuff at that point.
Yeah. But we haven't played a Genesis game in a while, and like I after fucking Fester's Quest, like that's the thing you mentioned Batman, like I just don't know if I can handle a Sunsoft game right now. Like after there's so much. Tough. There's so much. And Batman, it's not like where Blaster Master and Fester's Quest are so similar in so many ways. Batman is a completely different style of game, so it's not like you're getting the same kind of experience, but there are I don't even know what they are exactly, just some of the art style. Like Sunsoft has a certain kind of art style, certain kind of music style. I just don't want to look at that screen of Batman same. I just want something that feels different, and I know that a Genesis game will feel way fucking different. So that is kind of my, and again, I just think that's one that I was never into Shinobi as a kid, and I know it's such a big thing in the Genesis realm, early pre-Sonic era, that I want to give it its just, time, I guess, in this little fucking experiment we're doing here. But RBI Baseball 2 will be way more fun. I think will be super fun to play some of those games, and obviously the head-to-head element of RBI Baseball 2 will be a fucking blast if we can actually figure out how to fucking do it finally. We weren't able to do it for Heavy Barrel, but it's got to be achievable. So yeah, man. I don't know. There's no overlap there, so we're not doing that.
I could do. I mean,
I gave you Fester's Quest last time. Fuck you. I am
consider
I am getting a strong say in this this goddamn thing. I am most
that you went along with Fester's Quest so easily. I was like, all right. But I mean, that's fair. When I think about Revenge of Shinobi, I thought it was fun. I had a lot of like only good things to say about it. I don't remember what it was that made me playing it and be like, cautious about it, like just putting it on my list. I don't remember what that was, but without remembering that, yeah, I would play Revenge of Shinobi. RBI Baseball 2, very different, but yeah, I could play that too. I'd be interested in either one of those.
Shinobi is, I don't know, we just don't do it like I'm leaning, like I'm sitting here right now leaning more towards Revenge of Shinobi, but I feel like it's for all the wrong reasons. Like we don't play enough sports games. Like we are sports, we like sports games, and I don't feel I feel like in general, like so many of the podcasters, even the ones I like and listen to, are anti-sport people, you know. That new one, or maybe it's not the new one, like the Tadpog one that I started listening to. Like those guys hate sports games and they talk shit about every one of them. Like they just shit on the fucking like the early Madden games and like the Mutant League Football, Mutant League Hockey, shit like that. And like those fucking games are incredible. And like I don't know, I don't want to. I think very much we should be properly representing and covering sports games. And I almost feel like we're doing a bad job of that, and that makes me want to say RBI Baseball more, even though there are parts of me that like Revenge of Shinobi is, actually a good, and this is also podcast based shit that probably shouldn't be factoring in as much as we are, but we're probably not going to see a ton of RBI Baseball 2 shit. Revenge of Shinobi is another one, just like Batman, that we don't have to worry about going away and losing the opportunity to do it later. So I kind of feel like maybe for all those reasons, we should fucking do what I wanted to do in the first place. At my most emotional core, just play RBI Baseball 2 because it'll be fun. You know what I mean?
I think I'm down with that because when I think about Shinobi, even though it had all the familiar Genesis arcade, big sprites, sound, color, I think I just got the vibe like Altered Beast, all those other Genesis games that
it's gonna be a little more dutiful, I think, playing Revenge of Shinobi, like a little bit more of a slog. Like and I don't mean that as far as to say in a really bad way, but I do think it'll be a little more gotta play this for the podcast than it will be like I'm fucking having fun playing this. I would play this right now in the exact same way I'm playing it, other than stopping to take notes, even without the podcast being there, So, okay, let's fucking play RBI Baseball 2 then and actually have some sports fun, and we'll clearly co-op that at some point or another, and that'll be a fucking blast.
Nice.
And if I can get my notes up here, we will get into the closing sequence where I will say, subscribe to the pod on the platform provided whatever dumbass company that shows up your pod already. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on whatever platform you listen to. If you enjoy our nonsense, website is nyehentertainment.com/ISOHpod, trying to say it too fast, ISOHpod, and email us at isohpodcast@gmail.com. Follow the pod and banter with us on the Facebook page and subreddit, and talk shit to us about our gameplay videos on the YouTube. Links to all those will be in the show notes, as they always are. We don't have a Patreon, but if you like giving money to things podcasters tell you to, and would like to do so at our direction, the Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities. That's cool as fuck. AbleGamers.org is where you can find them. T-shirts. Buy the T-shirts. They're fucking cool. I'm wearing one right now. Look how cool it is. Jay, what are your socials?
Gentleman JB without the second E. That's my gamer tag. That's how you can find me on the socials.
On Twitter, I am at Josh Folan. On Instagram, I am my shape key is broke. And my gamer tag is 2 Minute Todd. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Our hero Laurel, God damn it.